Hello?
The city hasn't broke me yet, full of lonely people just wandering around for their own mistakes. When you feel like your life's about only things, just stay around looking for the meaning of 피곤해. But I remember how I made it through, and I thought it was cruel before. Then I miss him too. Then my heart beats to die again. If all of me can be at peace, and it's hitting me hard this time. If all of me can feel this free, but I'm making sure nothing.
Good morning, Mike. Just glad you're here. I'll be up in just one shake. I'm repointing the instructions for today at the correct file so that I can actually, there we go. We can actually build this set today. I'm going to be working on a Lego build. I'm enjoying Minecraft a lot. I just want to be taking a break every once in a while so that it doesn't go a little crazy, you know? You need your time to stretch and relax. Might help if I actually turn on a couple extra lights so that I can switch over to you guys. Ooh. My desk is one heck of a mess. Let's see if I can move pens and pencils and things enough to actually show you guys what's going on. Oop. Maybe. Okay, now can I get a zoom? I'm just about done. Properties. Bigger. Camera. You zoom in a little. There we go. Okay. The desk is incredibly ultra messy. That's the way life goes around here. We're gonna build with it anyway. Why? Because we can.
Hello?
Hello. Yep, because we can. It's ultra messy, but that's okay. All right, so let's go live and show you guys what we've got. So good morning, everybody. You can see I've got the ugly, messy hands as usual. And I'm just going to tip this camera back. There we go. So today's build, you can see on the screen, is the Battle of Hogwarts. This is the one that won second, tied for second place in the vote I had for which builds to do. Good morning, Mama Bear. Good to see you. Last day of the audit. Spent the morning trying to find a 12-inch tube because an 8-inch one was too small. For an audit? Huh. Okay. So I'm not sure how that would be needing tubes in an audit, but I mean, people can audit all sorts of things, so sure, why not? Why not? You know, you can audit anything. All right. Oh, I got my chat tucked under everything else. That's not going to help anybody. There's one half of the screen. All right. Now that I think I can do this, let's get the instructions. Oops. Lego instructions. Interact. What am I forgetting today? There we go. Interact. All right. So, as you can see, we're on page 1. The whole thought with this one is we've got Voldemort hanging out, and he's having a battle with Harry, and then we've got the clock tower as usual. Everybody, all the lovely little bridges, and some great characters. So we'll head on to those as we do. Right, requirement for a test on soil. Yours isn't a typical audit. Okay, I can follow that. Yeah, that makes more sense. Let's see. Oops, I've got too many noises going on. That will confuse me. Oh, there it is. I couldn't find one of my apps that I usually use in streaming. Show the border so I can minimize that one. Perfect. Okay, so let's roll into this one, get started, and we can talk about soils and other fun things on a Friday. It's Friday, right? I mean, yes, it's not the same thing, but as a grown-up, sometimes it'd be fun to be digging in the dirt if you were actually digging in it for fun. For work, I'm assuming it's probably something a little bit more exciting, like building stability or something. As in construction. All right. So this one appears to have, as you can see a little bit on the screen, one super massively thick booklet. We have in the booklet, it has, how many pages today? Ooh, stickers. Okay, minus the list of parts. Hello. We have 145-ish, 145 pages. So we may not get to all of it today, but we can at least get a start. So this is set number 76415, The Battle of Hogwarts. It's a last year set, I believe it's a 2023 set. I quite was looking forward to this because it tied with another 2024 set. I felt I should probably dig through and do the older set first. Oops, and bonked. A couple of oops today already. Okay, got stickers, that's good. Nope, not that. This way. There we go. All right. So we need to find bag 2. I don't want that too far away. Bag 1. Oh, that's some interesting spell stuff. Okay. 1, 2, more spell stuff. 3, 4, 1. Lucky floor. All right. And we've got some stickers as well. I'm looking forward to seeing what those do. Okay, so, one thing we can do for it is just open and just jump on in. Looks like we've got a Harry coming up first. You can tell because he's got the very tiny, right under people's heads. It's a very clean shirt, which I'm a little disappointed in. Only in that I don't think by that point it was as clean as it looks on here. But I mean, Harry'd been all over the place and tossed and turned and everywhere, which way. And they give us an orange pick sticks. We know that's not something we use around this place, so we will instantly swap it for a teal pick stick. And yes, that is almost the same color as the mat. So apparently at Brick World in Chicago this year, there was a creation. I'll have to see if I can find the pictures that someone else posted on the net. But there was a neat one where people were using the brick separators to make wings for a character. So I thought that was a neat concept. I could rub dirt on it. Yeah. Scratch and paint. No, I'm not one of the ones that will actually alter the characters. I mean, aside from like maybe redressing them, if I have the right parts, like the earlier Harrys had absolutely horrible pants. Horrible pants. It's a color that like I've never seen anybody in reality wear, so I don't know why they would have picked that for a Lego build, but you know, no accounting for Lego. Maybe it's if you happen to get this particular hex code color of Lego piece into your work that it's cheaper for the designers because that's what they had this year. Yes, trousers. Yes, jeans. There we go. They had an absolutely horrible color of jeans as well. Yeah, no, we're not talking about anybody's pants in that sense. Not at all. Not at all. Blue, yellow, brown, or any other color. All right. So one of the nice parts that I noticed on the box that we will be coming across in this set, no spoilers, just kidding, actually, spoilers abound, is a rather famous head-to-head between Molly Weasley and Bellatrix Lestrange, and I am very much looking forward to being able to put that one together. Because by Western standard, it's the only swear you hear in the entire series. So yeah, I love it. So these aren't bad, you know, for gray legs. You can see, those aren't bad. You know, it's great. It's not like it's some sort of, I don't know, baby blue whale color or something. Knolling. Keep that Lego going. We're actually not going to properly null everything today. I'm just sort of sorting so that I can actually figure out what some of these pieces are instead of digging through them. It will be faster in the end, although I'm not going to bother putting them in trays today. It's not until I have to clean the desk off. Because at some point, you know, we got to succumb to the addiction, and the addiction today is Minecraft. Yeah. Because as part of the wonderful Dadcraft 73 community, we have an SMP going, and there is a lot of grindy stuff to do. For question of the day, I'll go with the local brick shop, or lifestyle overland, or Linus Tech Tips. 2 out of the 3, I'll agree with you. That works. 2 out of 3, I'll agree with you. But yes, we're doing Lego, and my favorite Lego one at the moment happens to be local. And there's a couple that Dadcraft recommended. I've checked them out. They're cool. I watch them from time to time. They don't always click with my time slot, but they're okay. Don't know if I would have picked them on my own initially without the recommendation. They picked one non-gaming channel. Well, yeah, I guess Lifestyle Overland is a good pick because Linus sometimes does games, as does Local Brick Shop. Okay, here's Harry's head. And in this one, actually, they've done a neat little thing. Oh, I guess it's a fairly standard Harry head, but it looked initially like he was grumpy on both sides, but he's actually not. He just has heavy eyebrows. I can dig through that, that's not a problem. You feel that Minecraft addiction. Yeah, if I could be certain, I mean, Lego Day is not too bad because I'm not using the computer for anything else. But if I could be certain that whatever I was streaming, I could still handle AFK Minecraft in the background, I probably would. Then I'd be tempted to keep checking it. So there's nothing I really need to AFK right now. I actually need to do an awful lot of tree chopping, which some of that you guys will probably see. Depends on what my schedule looks like this weekend. But now that I've got an overhead view of the mansion and biome, because I was actually up there and looking down, I got up on the roof of the mansion. It turns out that although people are more used to seeing... What the heck is this? That's going to be an interesting piece. It's a wand, clearly, but I didn't expect the mount point, so yeah, pretty neat. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah. So because I was up there and seeing the biomes and stuff, it turns out I'm mostly surrounded, in the location I picked this year, I'm mostly surrounded by birch forest, technically, but then the dark oak forest is all sort of to the west with almost a peninsula of dark oak sticking out, and that's where the mansion I have is situated. Mike Burton says, I can finally start a new world tonight on Minecraft. Busy, busy, busy. So Mike, do you have plans for what you want to do in your world? Or do you have plans for what sort of, what sorts of features you're hoping for in your world? So this will be a 3-module type of build. Looks like we've got just the Harry Potter section in bag. Oh, 5 modules. Okay. Nice. Harry apparently does spells at the moment. I'm going to leave that till the end because there's multiple different versions of what we can do with spells. So I'd rather not open the bags for those till we need to. Put those 2 special pieces away, or I'm going to lose them. The minifig's easy enough to find. Alright. The first things first. Excuse me. Panel. So, I'm hoping that you'll have a lot of fun in your new world, Mike. From what I'm hearing, 1.21 is a whole heap of fun. I'm playing it right now, so there's no difference to the previous years at the moment, or previous releases at the moment, but that's just how I roll. As the community knows, the plan this season for my play on the SMP was going to start out being that I was going to build a mansion, like a woodland mansion, not necessarily from scratch, but from designs. Turns out, lo and behold, that we found one. So that's good. We took some time earlier this week and last week to clear the mansion in various different ways. And so that part has been dealt with. And I'm still mucking around on the inside. I keep going, oh, I'm going to move this, and no, I'm going to move that. And what if I straighten this one out? So yeah, there's a lot of that I was doing yesterday. Very distractible in that sense. But I'm hoping to move on to other fun things fairly soon, because I'm enjoying. It's just can't run out all the time. There we go. Majestic Shot Fox says that'll be a lot of fun. I've just started on the coffee server, and I'm remembering how much I like the start of a new world. Funny part is we at our house when we were doing servers for the family, we spent an awful lot of time doing the start of a world, and less so getting deeper into it. Just 4 different personalities in the family often go in 4 different directions. And sometimes there's only so much tolerance for how much people can put up with each other. And usually it ends up petering out when the kids are tired of doing whatever they're doing. Or they're tired of each other. And then eventually the server doesn't get used for a while, and we end up shutting it down. So it's nice to play with a community who has goals and aspirations, even though when I read about it on Diecraft's Discord with the progress that people are making and stuff, I feel like, hey, I'm still banging rocks together, but I'm having fun. The game feels much less risky when you're geared up and backed with farms. Definitely. On the other hand, I mean, for people like myself who can be at times risk averse, that's quite nice. Now, part of it too is also I need to get around to actually spending the time. Maybe I'll get some time on my trip. Spending the time to decide more about the list of what I'm going to do with the rest of the base, and I guess the models I want to build this year. Because I'm still into the theme of doing it somewhat Beatles music band related, with an emphasis on the movie The Yellow Submarine. Clearly, I have to do a submarine. But beyond the submarine, what other models do I want? And I was actually thinking about some of the early ones. Like, they're simple, but they're kind of a warm-up. So, for example, a textual, fairly large wool-related thing, which means, of course, I need a farm, and then we can start there, So it'll take me all season to get probably prepped. But hey, as long as we keep having fun and keep making progress, that's fine. I asked Fox that yesterday. I'm not really sure. Fox, unfortunately, had a bit of a double march out to where he wants to be, or at least where he was yesterday. So he tells me from last night, and I don't know how that would have affected his mindset. I don't know what he was looking for, but we're not base partners, nor are we near each other again. So I'll be really quite curious to see what he comes up with. More deja vu. So yeah, I'm looking for there's a lot of farms, like basic food related farms, going in the mansion on the main floor. I'm trying to not entirely overload the place on the main floor. We'll have to see, because I think I might be getting a bit overboard. I've got chickens on the second floor, but I'm thinking that might be a space where I'll switch it out and put the sheep farm. I'm not entirely sure. Never sure about anything. But the one that's got me, I know I need to do an awful lot more in terms of the caving and such that we had earlier this week. That may be partly lag dependent, but it's also that I just didn't feel mentally in a position to be able to perform all that well, as in actually make it happen. If there was a lot of lag causing the need for actually being good when one is battling monsters, to be a thing. I just didn't feel mentally up to that. So that's part of why we didn't do it yesterday. I was feeling rather mentally scatterbrained, and that's not a good scene when we have lag. So, sounds like Fantastic Sherlock Fox has some good, friendly neighbors. But yeah, I've learned through bingo that unfortunately I do unalive sheep, but not more than once, I guess. Well, okay. Not more than absolutely necessary. Let me say, it has more than once. But what I mean by that is that when it comes to making beds, I will apologize to the sheep. And it sounds kind of cheesy. But yeah, I will apologize to the sheep and make them into beds, or a bed. And if I die, I need to do it again, then of course rinse and repeat. But after that point, yeah, it's shears all the way. Shears all the way. When she was younger, when we were playing as a family, we actually used to have my daughter be quite verbally upset with us if we unalived the sheep. I thought that was kind of amusing. It's amusing for a while for Sheep Queen, but then it does get old. But it's just become a habit for us. In the same sort of way that some of the other YouTubers we watched, for example, the Pigglesworth, definitely is one where he will not eat, or eat bacon or voluntarily unalive pigs. Can't see why that would be, as his character's a pig. But I mean, that's one thing if it's your character, avoid the cannibalism. I'm not a sheep.
Hello.
I don't know about you. Hello. Hey Tiz, how you doing? Welcome to, more Friday, I guess, because I'm probably west of you. We've got an archway, now we've got a door, okay. Always good to see you, Tiz. So hopefully you guys have some good plans for your weekend. Mike, it sounds like you're going to be doing your New World tonight. Do you have big plans for the rest of your weekend, or do you actually happen to have enough time set aside that you can give yourself a good long Minecraft run, should the interest strike? Okay. Funny you should mention that, Tiz, actually. Having grown up with rabbits a lot, from one point of view, one might say, hey, they're your pets. From another point of view, they were the employees. And I am more than happy to unalive rabbits, especially the white ones with red eyes. Because I have known some pretty royal brats when it's come to white rabbits. Bitten, scratched, and all those things. And it's just the ones that you want to be nice to them, they just will not let you. I don't know why, but the ones we had just never let you. Now then again, I mean, we weren't exactly super nice. Think of maybe a hutch that's really way too small for the pet, as well as then you go and stick a dark cover over it so it can't see and it's sitting in the dark, and you travel to all kinds of weird places that it doesn't expect, and then you ask it to let people pet the thing who it's never met or smelled or anything before. Yeah, I can imagine that might be something that would pretty much annoy the living daylights out of a human. But we do it to pets all the time. Oh, okay. So if you're in Washington State, then I guess you are west of me, then welcome to Friday. As much as Friday can be. What am I doing? Oh, of course, these two. Huh, that's interesting. Meat rabbits IRL. I've never eaten one. That was a little weird for me, but I could totally see that. There's all kinds of things you can do with that. This is why Dylan feels like sometimes being a grown-up and playing with Lego is dangerous. We squish them too hard. I get really fussy about the gaps between bricks. So when you squish them together. Okay, now let's see. Got a filter on here. Drop the opacity down just a little bit. Oh, maybe not that much. Fine. Just hit. Okay. Yeah, that's a bit better. Ah, you can see my fingers through the doors. That's hilarious. Okay. Anyway. It's just that I've had annoying rabbits. And for those of you that are familiar with it, or have already heard the story, my father was a magician. So, because of that, he, as I said, he had employees. And the employees got shoved in all kinds of places, and I wouldn't want to have been one of them. Ever. On the other hand, I mean, I will say that's a really bizarre career, and I've got to meet some really interesting people over time. It's amazing at times what a, what do you call it? What a good old card trick will get you access to. There's different times we've got to meet people and jump a little further in lineups to meet famous people because of his magic. I don't know if I would want a guinea pig. I've heard they're even stringier than rabbits. I mean, I've had a few guinea pigs that I wouldn't have, I threatened them with that just because they're being annoying, but that's guinea pigs for you. They're just annoying out of the box. Yeah, so I've got to meet all kinds of, I shouldn't say all kinds, but a bunch of amazing people. I mean, for example, there used to be a guy, at least around here, who was fairly well known, hypnosis artist to go all over the place. And his name was Ravine. And we used to, or like his stage name is Ravine. And we actually knew his family, as in him and his wife and his son and everything else. There was a magician who lived in our city, who actually, as far as the music or the magic industry is concerned, was famous all over North America for the magic props and products. And he lived, or well, actually not lived, he had his shop just up the street from one of my favorite candy stores. So we'd always drop in on him and then go by and grab some candy on the way home. So, I mean, there's those kinds of things. But then there's people that say, David Copperfield is one that used to be in the television in the 70s, 80s. People still generally know who he is, although thank heavens he's not performing anymore. Because I don't think he'd look all that great. But I've met him in person. So there's things like that. There's also plenty of people in the industry that say, people say, oh, hey, you've met, or you haven't met so-and-so. And it's like, well, actually, I've done better than that. But then the thing is, it's actually really fun when you're a tween. Your parents take you to a convention and you get to run around the floor by yourself because they trust you. So my parents were like, okay, if you're up past 3 a.m., then we're just not going to bother waking you up in the morning. So you miss all the stuff that happens in the morning. And that's great when you're like 12. But you get to run around and listen to all the people shop talk. What did I miss? Because that's not the right level. Yeah, I didn't pay attention to one of the instructions. Way back. 1, 2. Aha. Sorry, I got a call when you asked. Not yet for a plan. Usually check chunk base and use one of my phone numbers as a seed. That's okay. So I can check for OK spawns. I see. Different style than I'd go for, but I can totally see the appeal. I can definitely see the appeal of doing it that way. I know I used to, when I would do games on stream, like for example, I've got a Bedrock World that we were doing solo for a while. I haven't deleted it, but I've kind of ditched it. Just I wasn't feeling it, And I called it like Delen's Bedrock or something crazy like that. Might just be called Delen. Not very creative on that one. That was where I was originally going to do the mansion thing, and actually would have had to build that one from scratch, but I got myself a little bit mired in the Bedrock Iron Farm. Which reminds me, of course, excuse me, that I need to pick up the pace on renoing enough of the current mansion that I've got going on Dadcraft's Java server so that I can get myself a portal of some sort. I have no idea what the below nether looks like where I am. I also have no idea how much further I progress without a whole ton of iron, and that's always easier to do with an iron farm, which usually I just cop out and snag villagers, but lacking a few different things like, say, villagers or leads, then I may need to ask others for help, which is kind of important. It's like, you don't really want to get a bus to stop right out in front of your house, or not don't want to, just kind of can't get a bus to stop right out in front of your house if you don't actually have a bus stop. So basically I gotta build the bus stop, I guess is what it comes down to. But it's oh so tempting to go back down in the hole that we had earlier this week. The other thing we talked about yesterday is that as I explore, I can cache the physical nature, so the render of the chunks that I explore, not just for maps, but also for render distance. And while I consider that a cosmetic thing, rather than feeling like I'm living on an itty-bitty island that keeps changing shape as I move, some people would figure that render thing is a little on the cheaty side. To each their own, but I'm looking forward to exploring enough of that cave that we were in earlier in the week that I can see whether or not, if I crank the render just a little bit, that I could see if it's a sealed cave or if it actually is. I mean, I'll have to explore from the other side to get the chunk anyways, but if I could actually see whether it's a sealed cave or if it's the one I have seen on the way out with a partial mine shaft in there. Which, I mean, mine shafts can be good news because they offer a lot of interesting opportunities for supplies, but they're also challenging because mine shafts give me the willies simply because I don't like spiders. For question of the day, Tiz says, I mostly watch gaming channels, but there's a balloon artist wife and husband team. Unfortunately, they haven't been streaming as much. They started stream during COVID when they couldn't perform with a live audience. True. I think I know which. Well, shouldn't I know which one? I've been on channels that rated into people that do stuff with balloons. Oddly enough, I found that from a magic angle. Weirdly enough, I'm not going to go back into that full cycle, but yeah. Sometimes too, when I'm not in a gaming mood, I'll just search for whatever random term seems to pop up in my head. I don't mean like I don't know, sushi or something like that. I guess I could. Maybe I'll find somebody doing sushi. But what I was thinking of is more because I was on about magic one day, I decided, are there any magicians that decide they want to stream on Twitch? So I did a search for magician, and lo and behold, there are. Surprise, surprise, they do a lot of close-up. I think it was one of them that actually rated into the balloon artist one. I ran into one just last night? No, last night. Yeah, last night was Thursday. Who I didn't stay long enough because they rated out fairly quickly after I got there from Dadcraft, but or jumped off after Dadcraft. But they were doing like TV show tunes, music and film scores, standards on piano and a little bit of drum and something else. I can't remember what the other instrument was, while singing to it. And I thought, well, that was kind of cool, along mixed in with their original material, but it's all live music. I thought, well, that was, sort of fun. I would have stayed with them a little longer, but I forgot to follow. So if I find them another time, I'll drop them a follow. I just can't remember. Non-gaming Twitch channel. Me. Mahaku for book notes. Totally. What else have we got? I would say also local brick shop for IRL streams at times, because local brick shop, every once in a while, he'll do one where he live streams while he goes through a drive-through. And people tell him what he's supposed to order. They haven't actually grossed him out or whatever. It's like, okay, I need a real decent lunch. I just can't be bothered to decide what it is. Chat, you tell me what I'm having for lunch. So, sure, they tell him what he's supposed to order for lunch. Yeah, there's David Turner. Yeah, it used to be DTM. Now he just goes by David Turner. And yeah, I mean, I've got, other gaming channels. Like, I was following Magic the Gathering for a while, so I mean, it's not a video gaming channel per se. But, there's, Kelly Cakes, I think, is a good one. That's always a good one. Oddly enough, I was strangely mesmerized one afternoon when somehow, for a raid train I was totally not paying attention to, shame on me, I got myself onto a channel, I got myself onto a channel that was showing, I can't remember what it was now. Because of course that thought went, and then it left, because my brain squirreled, seeing that we're doing a sticker. I was like, ooh, stickers! It'll come back to me at some point, random thought. Oh, yeah, there's people that do jigsaw puzzles on camera. They just shoot the breeze and whatever while they're putting jigsaw puzzles together. I thought that's kind of fun. So it looks like we have two versions of the sticker that at some point we'll be doing. So we've got the Hogwarts clock, in weird as it is, in good shape. And then we've got the Hogwarts clock in terrible shape. What I do not understand about this particular take on the Hogwarts clock, you guys probably can't see it all that well, but we have 24-hour clock in both regular numbers, and the inner one you can sort of read is Roman numerals, but it goes 1 to 12 and then repeats 1 to 12. I don't see the point. You're right, depending on the puzzle, depending on the streamer, the puzzle streams can be good, exactly. Yeah, I can't remember, it was some southern, darker tone lady who I was watching, and she was just going on about whatever she was doing in her day, and I guess talking to her about her friends and stuff, and it worked for me. Whatever it was, it worked for me. But then I forgot the name, so it was just like a background one. Not something I really would watch all that often in general. But it does remind me that I should actually go and build puzzles once in a blue moon. That would imply I wouldn't be playing Minecraft though, right? So many different things I want to be doing all at once. There's never enough time. I will be seriously missing Minecraft while I am away in July. Bedrock you can take with you, right? In theory, as long as you have a good enough connection, you can play Bedrock from mobile. But because we're at a scout camp, which is, generally no electronics for the most part, then playing Java just isn't going to happen, and I'm going to miss it. I don't know. It'd be nice to have a binge week when I got back, but I don't think that's realistic either. You haven't used your loom or done puzzles in several years now. Young grandchildren could hamper some of those hobbies for a bit. They can for a bit, and it also depends a little bit on the temperament of the kids. I will admit, I was probably at least 8 before my grandmother's puzzles remotely interested me, but she used to have them all over her dining table. And because we'd visit 2 or 3 times in a year, she did the puzzles super casually. So there'd be like, 5,000 piece puzzle or whatever, but it would take all year just because she's super casual about it. That my brother and I would play a little bit of a game trying to guess what the puzzle was each time we visited. Okay, so with that, turn it around. Oh, I missed something. Okay. So in my excitement, huzzah. I was supposed to do both stickers to make it reversible. Haha. For some reason, I only mentally saw the one, so I could do that again. Yay! At least I caught it before I got the piece pinned in. Alright. So on one side, the clock is in good shape, and on the other side, it's post-battle and it's destroyed. Lovely. This one. How do I do that every stinking time? And then I get it straight the first time and not again after. Really? Oh, that's crooked. I start to see it moving. Oh. It's like, there we go. No. There we go. No. Okay, it's not a matter of bubbles, game. Come on. Game? Cheapers. Do you think I have games on the brain just a little? Okay, I'm trying to avoid the text on here, but it's also being useful for making things straight because I can't seem to not shake today. Oh, that's crooked. How bad, though? Too much. Let's start at the top, but then the bottom end's crooked, so always a challenge. Come on, sticker. Oops. Oh. Wish I'd got it the first time because I was on a roll. Straight enough. Crooked. Too high. Jeepers. What type of loom? That's exactly it. What kind of stuff would you make on your loom? Because there's various different things. Like weaving, or are you talking other types of crafts? Like I've got a bead loom that I haven't used in ages and I'd like to get back into. And then I'm still in that old. I still enjoy, well, whatever. Enough. I still enjoy making like the friendship bracelets kind of thing we did as kids, so I have looms for that. Partly because I was teaching it this year to Cub Scouts. Shawls are, oh, some more of a, kind of like a small knitting loom, I guess? Or are you actually talking outright weaving? My mother-in-law's just recently got into that side of things, and I'm really impressed by people who can deal with those sorts of things. Nope. Let's see. I'm just trying to make this a little bit lighter. That'll work. Alright. It does make it harder for you guys to see. I am aware of that. Oh, gum. I have a mess on the other side. It's like, yeah, it's hiding under things. Alright. Along with the busted Harry from earlier. I still haven't moved that guy. I probably should. Move over there. A lady gifted me the loom and taught me how to use it because I so loved hers. What a treasured gift. Awesome. That is a definitely treasured gift. That is definitely something to enjoy. Okay, so I have a sticker. That one. Okay, now I'm into turning it around. Alright, I think we're back where we should be. It's still an kind of build, isn't it? You know? It's like, how many times can you build the same thing? How many Delenn does it take to build a Lego set? Oh, I should probably theater that one. There we go. I keep forgetting I watch in theater mode, so it's kind of good that I don't have any private stuff on the screen. Worst thing you guys would have found right now was that Fantastic Sherlock Fox has to disappear for a service for our truck, so that, well, our Honda mini truck, I guess, so that it is all tuned up and ready to go for my July trip. I've never used a cardboard loom a couple times. I love the noise real looms make while being used. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Some of them make some really neat clickety-clack noises. Some of them, even if they don't make any noise and they're just like frames for hand weaving for a much more casual speed, it still can be very comforting to those like myself who enjoy a fidget of sorts. I mean, it's one of the, you can say, most culturally acceptable large fidgets. Although, I mean, time and place becomes a thing. Oops, not that. It is so therapeutic, and then you get something beautiful when you finish. Exactly. I do have a question though. Do you end up with fairly sore, hands or arms or whatever when you're done? Like, is it relatively manual, or is it fairly hands-off shuttle style? Because some are like a weave where you need to quite literally be going in your head things like over, under. Whereas other ones I've still seen that are semi-manual, but they have shuttles on them for preloaded thread. And you just have to catch them as they come through on the other side. I think there's so many sizes and shapes, right? Like, some of them can be a tabletop loom, and other ones have their own little stand, and some are, powered, and some of them are not. And there's, I've seen some that are not powered, but are foot pedal versions, and, well, treadles, I guess. Treadle pedal? That's a word. There you go, say that 50 times fast. There's many, many different varieties, because we can do many, many different things with the beautiful art. Totally manual. Oh, but it is pedals with a shuttle. That's cool. Yeah, I think one my mother-in-law got gifted to her was a fully manual tabletop without a shuttle style. At least not a throwable one. I think she's got the small hand type. So I would actually, at some point, love to see something like yours in action. That would be awesome. And the products from that would look beautiful. So my question then, did you have to rearrange your furniture to be able to make it fit in your house? That's one of the other things too, is, I mean, a lot of us, we get past 20 or past 30, and then we start theoretically looking at, how do we downsize? Now, unless you're me, in which case I'm like, how do we upsize? But that's just because I have Lego and so on, that I get attached to things and then I don't want to give them up. And then I'm a horrible declutterer. Apparently it's a neurodivergent thing. But the point being is that I don't know if I'd ever have room for a loom. I would love it, but I don't have room. Like, I've even got, I've got one of those Cricut type machines, where you can do paper crafting stuff and t-shirt designs and all kinds of other crafty things. And I love it. It's not the model that lets you do, leather and balsa wood and such. Had I thought about it at the time, we might have bought that version, but it was a little bit too expensive for what I thought I'd be doing with it. In any case, it's a beautiful machine, but I don't actually have it in my craft office with me because I just don't have the space. I'd love to, but I do not have the space. And so it lives out in the hallway, folded up most of the time, and then when I need it, I move it. I absolutely had to change the furniture around. I'm currently squeezed in between my PC and my loom, rearrange the couches, etc. Well, yeah, I could see that. I mean, some would say, priorities. Well, it sounds to me like you certainly did sort out your priorities. You and Hermione have got yourself sorted out, mostly. You probably more so than Hermione. That looks weird to me, because you can see the handles on the inside of the door, which is it's supposed to be on the inside of the door according to the picture, and yet when I rotate it around, I guess that'd be the push side of the door? It just feels weird if there's like no door handles on it. And it's clearly modular, so that's one of the things I liked of the older sets, is they were definitely pointing towards a modular format, so you could actually take them apart. Like, that's intentional to be able to do that. I do envy people a little bit like Maribel Jade, who semi-rearranged her craft space. There's the space to do that, so that she could fit in the Hogwarts castle being assembled as a castle. Do I have? I'm not usually using a tray, but I think I should probably grab one of the little trays just for extra bits until the build's done. Bag 2. There we go. It's a bit squishy. So, okay. I'm going to ask, for curiosity's sake, is there any loose-ended sort of fessing up to do that when you're not actually working with your loom, you use it for other things? I know it sounds silly, but I've known people that have slightly larger ones like yours, it seems to be, who, when they're not actively using it, sometimes cheat, I guess you could say, by using them as drying racks for lightweight material, like, I don't know, a silk slip or something like that. If you're not saying you necessarily have one or need one, but and the couch is from the ceiling like a hammock. Well, you know, keeping with the Lego theme, she could build herself one of those Lego movie couches, right? The double-decker one. Wow. Okay. I like and dislike Voldemort at the same time. So, does he actually have... Just see. I don't think he has anything... Okay. So bag 2 has Voldemort. They want me to put the green spells that... Like Harry, I'm going to skip that for now. Just covered with a large sheet taking up space. Yeah. I know someone else who does socks. Like, as in they'll dry their socks on top. Some of those things you just lay it out. Or their tea towels or whatever. Okay, so this is Voldy. Oops, Moldy Voldy. You can see his face a little bit. He's kind of grumpy. There is no double side to that. That's just his face. I will admit, I like his outfit in that you can see the lines, and it's not easy to show on camera, but he's got little bits of dirt all over it. Lots of dirt patches and worn bits and a muddy look. And same on the back. And those are the sorts of things I would have wanted to see a little bit more on the Harry Potter figure, was the splattery mud and stuff. Because, I mean, Harry himself has been wandering all over the school, you know, running around through the room of requirement to get away from Draco and his buddies, and having things blow up in his face with Seamus Finnegan taking bridges down and so on and so forth. And so I kind of expected he's also been dropped on the ground a couple times. And he's been carried around by Hagrid and stuff, and I really honestly thought that they would make him a little bit dirtier like this, but I appreciate the printing on the front, and I appreciate the printing on the back at the top. It would be nice if it had a few creases that went down into the lower robe section. I also find it a bit odd that they chose not to just go more or less, I guess you would say from the side, more or less an A-line on the bottom. They actually put the tail sort of dragging out like a women's skirt, which is a bit much for the character, but hey, he's meant to be the villain, so maybe I'm supposed to love to hate this thing. I don't know. Plans. Alright, so I'll set that off to the side, sorry for the elbow shot, and let's get into the build. I'm just going to move the tower chunk we built so far off to the side until we actually have to attach things to it. And let's just open these little piles rather than fully sorting. The subsequent bags past bag 1 are frequently bags frequently bags where I can usually deal with the size of the pile. The challenge is frequently that it's getting the model to fit on the table space. Okay, so we're starting with a panel and a gray strip. Yay. 1, 2, and one of these. I was starting to count studs, and then I realized, you know, you put the piece on that's in picture, then you can ballpark your locations without having to count. There we go. Which allows me to keep on nattering. Funny enough, there's actually times where I have streamed. It's hard to say, but I've streamed, and then I'm done my stream afterwards, and I just don't feel like talking to people after that. You guys are my people. My peopleness. I would say I've probably become a bit more outgoing since starting to stream. For years and years and years, I considered myself an introvert. And I may still sort of be. I mean, I get worn out with people fairly quickly in terms of the day. So by the time I'm done my scouting part of the day, I am burnt. Like, done. However, I'm starting to learn more that that's less actual introversion, because if I get time out for a little while, I can recharge fairly quick. And then chitter chatter about next to nothing again for longer periods. But I guess the key is that I'm learning more about how I think and what sorts of things are likely to take energy, mental energy. That's the thing that I've had a real tough time with growing up. Our house, my dad was into, well, he's a bit of a bit of a health nut, except when it comes to himself. Yeah. Well, exactly. Some people get very, very people out. What I was hearing about it, long story made super short, I'm going to circle back, related to your daughter specifically, is that I've heard that the easiest, or one of the easiest off-the-cuff descriptors of the difference between an introvert and an extrovert is that when you get peopled out, or too much social, too much extroversion, I guess, too much out there, that the major difference between introverts and extroverts is how do you recharge? Do you need to be alone to recharge? Or do you need to be around people, but just a different situation than you had been in? So like I've known people that they want to be around people, they just don't want to converse. So they're not necessarily an introvert in the more stereotype sense, but they'll still go to a mall and people watch because they need to be around people to recharge. They just don't want to be, interacted with. Right? Whereas if you've been around a lot of people and you quite literally would rather go hole up in a place completely by yourself, whether it's quiet or not. I've known introverts who will go and blast the music, and you start to wonder if they got hearing damage long term. But it's just that they need to be away from people in order to recharge. And I honestly thought I used to be like that, and I don't know anymore if that's the case. Because the more I analyze the reasons why I might have been wanting to be away from people, frequently it less often had to do with actual burnout per se from most people. It just frequently had to do with my impressions of how I was having to behave around those people, and that effect wore me out. So for some introverts, that actually is the same thing, where you'd end up having to, you want time to yourself just because you feel like you're always having to be on when you're around others. So it's difficult to say that there's a difference, but for me there was. I'm not one who does mock builds. I would love to, as in my own creation. But because this fireplace flue type thing in here is got flames, okay, well, let's go. Not really realistic, but the picture is having two flame elements going the same direction, and I just put one in the backward direction just because I felt it gave a little more visual variety, which nobody's really going to notice. It's more that I knew that I did it. But yeah, it's some people just want to be on their own after other people, and the major difference about that, another way you can sort of tell a bit if someone might be an introvert versus someone who's just simply people burnt out, are the ones that an introvert is less likely to willingly either initiate or set up a social interaction, whereas an extrovert, they can still get burnt out afterwards, so they'll say yes to all sorts of social interactions and then be burnt. So I know it's a funny way of saying it, but an introvert will go to a party, be burnt out by the party, and really not be inclined to actually ever set up a party like that themselves in the first place, even if they might accept an invite. Whereas an extrovert might set up the invite or be very willing to go, and that you'll be part of the planning and all that jazz, but they just had too much while they were there, and so that's often a big difference. But I'm learning for myself because I have hitting that point in life, we'll put it that way, where different things, people's bodies change, etc. There's that happening. Early edge of that, but also that affects one's memory. And then I've also got the neurodivergent stuff going on, and what else we got? It's a mitt full of different silly things all at once. One of my social fears of late has become being actually asked to remember things from conversations. And it's not just the anxiety or the fear of meeting people, but the fact that you actually might have to remember something about that person or what they said longer term in a situation where it would be kind of inappropriate or rude to absent yourself afterwards, just to step to the side and write notes so you don't forget. So that becomes a bit of an anxiety point for me about actually having to meet people. Sometimes I have caught myself at like a scout event where I'm re-meeting a bunch of scouters, just saying, hey, apologies, things have been super busy and I'm just not remembering things very well these days. Would you please remind me about X or Y thing? Or, you can shoot the breeze a little bit based on the common interest. But if you're stuck in a situation where you've got no idea what their common interest is, yeah, I can be a little nervous. What's funny, if I were to design an app for me to remember things about people, I mean, there's plenty of networking type apps. I just haven't found one that works for me that frankly is free until you know you love it. But if I were to design a contacts networking type app thing, it would actually have features like, hey, did I manage to get a picture of the person? Because sometimes I remember faces better than names. And so I can connect. If somebody says, oh yeah, that's the person who was at such and such doing whatever, like I've got a visual to work with, cool, I can handle that. I can connect the face with the name that way, we're fine. But if they're just by names, I am pooped. I also would love to see contact apps that allow you to rearrange the fields you're using in terms of where they are on the page. Because sometimes if I don't get that picture, then what I actually would really like to have up near the name at the top is an easy way of either making a bulleted or textual description of the person so that when I don't remember the name, I can just go, oh, okay, I've got a list of all the scout leaders I've met from other groups, and maybe I don't have pictures of them, but, I can skim through going, okay, this one might be this person, and speed read through my notes about what that person looked like the last time I met them, and be like, yeah, that looks like it's that person, so therefore, then I can have additional notes further down, the usual stuff about like when you last connected with the person, or where you had met them from, or another one that helps is it'd be nice to have a field, met them through or introduced by or whatever, like how you got connected with this person in the first place. And the reason I think that would be useful is so that if one person introduces you to that other person, then it's a lot easier to figure out, okay, I know this person because so-and-so other person I'm much more familiar with introduced me to them. Which kind of means that I've got, once again, another freebie point of information about what the two people may have in common that can allow me to kind of scrape through to either just do small talk or to scrape through until it feels like an appropriate point to say, yeah, I apologize, but I just blanked on your name. Without necessarily having to say, my memory is about as good as, one iota of a goldfish. Yeah, no problem. That's okay, Mama Bear. You can always catch up, and I'll see you next week if you've got the time. Family always comes first. Always, always, always. Well, provided that they're family you want to be in contact with. We'll leave it that way. So have a good weekend. So that said, that's my little mini rant for the moment, is just, if I was to design up. Now, I'm sure there is one out there, and there's lots of ways. You're very, very welcome. There's lots of ways to kludge that through various different apps, and I'm sure there are business apps that do that. A lot of the challenge, though, is because they're designed for business, business people actually working out of the home. They come with a lot of bells, whistles, features, and often prices, but it's not just the cost. But there's a lot of other things that I don't need them to do. I just need them to be able to tell me, here's this person, you met them, this is what you might know them from, or this is how you might recognize them, or something. Sometimes it might be even nice to have a quick reminder of, say, the last thing you recall talking to this person about. And because maybe, because I enjoy Harry Potter, there's been a few people I've been introduced to who I've been introduced to them because they are also Harry Potter fans. And so, being able to make a note about that kind of thing, potentially a shared interest or something, would be helpful. I know there are many, many people who are able to do this sort of organization of thoughts and whatever on their own. I'm just at that point right now where I'm sort of in the middle of switching apps. One of the disadvantages to things like ADHD is that, and I've known this for years, I just didn't have the label for it, is that when organization plans are new and novel, you can create all kinds of systems, all kinds of organizations. All kinds of organizations to keep yourself sorted. And then when the sheen wears off and more to maintain it becomes more like work, then either the recording gets patchy, or it doesn't happen, or we start putting things in different places because something else has started to become shiny, and then we've just gone to I'll move it all across and consolidate later, which it becomes later TM. And TM does not stand for tomorrow as much as we might like it to. So my latest baby in that direction has become Notion, simply because there are so stinking many templates available for it, and it's such a powerful tool to be able to do what one wants, that it may not be perfect, but it's the one that currently seems to have the most potential to do what I want now. However, there's still a lot I have to learn about it, because one example, I was trying to put all my travel notes in one place for this upcoming trip. That has failed miserably because I don't seem to know how to use the travel template thing that it came with in the in the sample beginning of here's how you start doing things. And that means that I've sort of got to be at a stall point, but I'm really going to have to put some focused work in next week, potentially, fairly likely putting off some Minecraft grind that I want to do to build myself a probably physical binder of all the printouts and things. I'm going to have a digital version too, but I think I'm going to have to make a physical binder as well, just so that I can grab things and hand the binder to anybody and be like, okay, look at the page that seems to be about blah and tell me this piece of information from it. Just because when we're driving out to the coast, my vehicle partners will be my kids. We got lucky. I mean, I didn't have to have any unknown, as in outside my family, kids for a long road trip, so I appreciate that. That's very helpful. They know a lot about when I actually snip at them quite dramatically to shut up, because it's not just because they're driving me crazy. Often it's one of those things where something on the road has just changed in such a way that I need 100% of my focus right now. You cannot talk to me. They're used to that. Not that I've done it a lot, but they're used to me warning them about that so that they know what to expect. And they know that I'm not intentionally being mad at them for anything they did or whatever. It's just that for that moment, for safety purposes, I have to focus 120%. Arch. Oh, there's two arches here. Okay, I was trying to figure out why am I not seeing things. I have to double check music because I'm hearing lyrics, which is fine, I need to make sure we're not we're not doing Christmas tunes. We're still on the staff picks list from Epidemic Sound, and the reason I switched to that one rather than the now trending stuff is my assumption is that staff picks are going to be more or less along trend lines, but also that their list is supposed to be updated every Friday, whereas it felt like the trending list was somewhat stagnant. So that meant that we weren't getting as much variety as we could have. I mean, if it's trending to play Christmas tunes and you're wrapped in there and you're just playing the now trending list, well, that's going to, be self-perpetuating, and you're going to end up with Christmas tunes a lot. So, yeah. So I do need to spend some time next week and just sit down and do a physical organization of the travel notes, just to make sure. There's a lot of stuff I don't need to worry about, but one of the things I need to do is actually start setting up alarms. I can set them for specific days and stuff. I have to set up alarms and reminders and things with buffer for while I'm away, because our camp behaviors it's like a summer camp full of activities, right? Because we're going to a jamboree. So the activities for the day will often have things like bus transportation from the main camp to the activity from a set point at specific times. And that's your one shot. That's it. There's no other way to get there. It's not like you just hop on a bus and join everybody. So I need to make sure that I am 120% ready for that, because, it's one of those, like, people can do the same event over and over, but this particular instance of it will never be again, right? One of those once-in-a-lifetime deals. And if I set up the alarms and things now, I can change them at my heart's content, but that way I'm not trusting that I will remember to do them, a day in advance or a couple days in advance while I'm out there, because I may be, I could be tired, or I could be wrapped up in all the excitement going on and be like, I'll do it later and never get to it, and I just don't want to forget things or be holding things up. So that's the other piece, is the more planned in advance I am, it gets to be annoying, but that gives me the luxury of nagging others who need it, like my own kids, to be on time or whatever, but also it gives me the luxury of not having micro anxiety attacks, thinking that something has gone haywire when it may or may not have. So, yeah. I'm not going to expect to be perfect in advance, but things like knowing, okay, on average it takes X number of hours to drive from my city of Calgary out to, Kamloops in BC. Okay, I'm not expecting to need to be there till, 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. at the earliest, or even later, because that's where we're overnight stopping. So, maybe we can find a spot in the middle and be like, yeah, this will be the great town that we're going to stop in for lunch. Whereas, as the plan is right now, I haven't filled any of that stuff in, so I don't know. I don't yet have alternate road plans figured out should something go wrong. I don't have lunch stops figured out, a lot of those sorts of things. And because we're going to be getting packed lunches a lot through the camp week, then I would like to give my kids as much flexibility as we can on the way out and on the way back. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. Other things that sound kind of silly to worry about or to think about. One of the things my husband made a comment about last night, which I hadn't thought about, was that on the trip, because our city of Calgary still has issues with our water main, we've talked about this a few times, then then as much as one may or may not like hotel showers, because everybody and their dog has used them, well, not the dog, but it's in spite of being cleaned, apparently my son has an issue with them. I don't know, news to me. But because of that, then it's definitely worth it. Yes, we need to have super brief showers before we go, even though we're supposed to be water saving. But, when you stop at the hotel, make a point of having that de-stressing, long, luxurious shower that'll help you be de-stressed for the week in advance. Because you might get a campground shower, which isn't great, but a campground shower at the public campground on Vancouver Island before we go to Scout Camp, where we're meeting up with the other patrol we're going to be with. But, it could be cold, or it could be, coin-operated, or whatever. And then after that, depending on what our youth's tolerance is for cold showers, as in not heated showers, then there may be a possibility that they are semi-sponge bathing and smelling like a week-old teenager. Yeah, that's going to be fun. A week full of teenagers who may or may not be willing to take ice-cold showers. And some of them will be totally in deodorant territory in terms of age and body chemistry. And some of them will be just starting that and not necessarily realizing that they needed to be prepared in that direction, or what all the camp rules are for dealing with deodorant and such. So they're going to be extra smelly because they cannot be prepared, if that makes any sense. Okay, this one, there we go. So, hanging out with a bunch of smelly teens, my thought, easy enough, is because we do have plenty of running water out there. Our group has to go get it. But my thought is that I think I might insist, at least for my kids, midweek, and potentially for some of the others in my patrol who are more likely to be stubborn like mine, that midweek we'll take, some of their Quick Wick shirts that they can actually easily rinse and just do a speed load of laundry. So a little bit of biodegradable camp soap and rinse, everybody rinse their shirts, and then we hang them up and they can air dry fairly quickly. Because if they're wearing the same stinking shirt, quite literally, multiple days in a row, or even if they change them up a lot, it would be nice if they didn't smell by the time we end up back in public at the end of the week. I'm a parent. I'm not entirely clueless, mostly of the time. So yeah, we will have a whole bunch of smelly kids. I don't think the people on the public ferry on the way back would appreciate it if we smelled like, a pair of or a set of trash pandas, aka raccoons. So I'm excited, but that's definitely controlling a lot of what's going on in my non-Minecraft brain of late, because there's all kinds of extra shopping trips and shopping trips for personal gear, but also shopping trips in terms of buying things on behalf of the group, just a small number of things. We split that up. There's that, and then there's what's the word? Extra meetings to load things up, extra meetings, or additional meetings for just the Jamboree attending people to be able to discuss, make sure you bring this or that, make sure you bring whatever, or make sure you do not bring, etc. And how we're going to deal with certain things. So, for example, there are lots of things that people might road trip with in their cars. Like for teens, you might have a game system like a Switch or something like that. Which, while that may sound useful, we're not going to be... Where are we here? 102. Oh, I went wrong way. While that might sound useful, we're not going to be anywhere near the vehicles for the week. So they're going to be parked quite literally off-site. I don't know if there's going to be anybody watching them loosely, but it sounds like we're not having a hired security guard or whatever. So you need to make sure, like you do with any other spot, that you don't leave your valuables in the car when you park. But what do you do? Because you're not supposed to have electronics at camp, right? And you wouldn't really want to schlep those into camp anyways. It's just heavy and unnecessary and puts them at risk from, say, weather or whatever else. So we may be putting a bunch of stuff in my truck because not only is it a truck with a covered back, we've got one of those tonneau cover things, but it's also Strange and Molly Weasley, they look like they come with wands in the next bag that do not have the, I guess spell ends would probably be a better way of putting it, on their wands. I may, in the final thing, swap it up and use the spares from Harry and Voldemort to allow those two to have a good old battle. That might be kind of fun as well. Either that or, I guess another way of putting it. I have one? Yeah, okay. So another way of doing it would also be that I've got extras. Yes, I know it's going to ruin things. You can see that this black piece has a little hole through the middle. So I've got that as a possibility where I could maybe feed one like that onto the end, like put a spell on it and then set that on the end of Bellatrix or Molly's wands. Maybe that might be an option. Okay. Bag 3. Might get through this today. I would say knock on wood. Oh. In the 2 little side bags that just reflect away, we have 1 head per character. Oh, disappointing. Sorry. This hairpiece is going to belong to Bellatrix Lestrange, and the reason I said disappointing when I picked it up is that in some of the other sets, I've got one other with Bellatrix Lestrange that I can easily think about. It's the burrow with Molly Weasley and crew, and for the burrow, her hair felt rubberized. Now, it could be a mismemory of mine, but I could have sworn it was more rubberized hair, which gives it a bit more of a, I don't know, comfortable feel, I guess. This one feels, I like the texture because, or not the texture, sorry, the surface. Let's see if I can show you the difference. Where's her head? That must be Molly Weasley. Yeah, okay. Figuring out the heads is a little confusing. Let's see. Bellatrix is kind of known for her crazy grimace, so even though this one's got a double-sided head, I think I'm going to give the crazy one. So, here's the difference. Come on, hair. Go. It's plasticized. It sits on, but it feels like there's something in the way. I don't know. But the big difference that I like about this one, I'm not sure it's going to come across. You can see that her torso for her dress is quite shiny. And her dress is done kind of corset-esque, which I find a little bit creepy, but that's just, I'm not into that style. Or I'm going with the hair, same thing. So Harry's hair is all shiny. Like he's got oil issues or something. But Bellatrix's does not. They've managed to make it matte. So it's hard to show side by side other than, right, literally to hold them and see if, yeah, so Bellatrix is getting the torso shine, but her hair kind of doesn't, which is sort of neat. The rubbery hair does that more effectively than the plastic hair, but, yeah, could be worse. And now Molly needs her head. I will admit, it's kind of funny. I was introduced to watching Julie Walters, who plays Molly Weasley, through the Harry Potter movies. But if you're ever into listening to her voice and want a bit of a smile, one of the television series, I wish I could remember what streaming service it was on. Might have been, I want to say Netflix, but maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But it was called Very British Problems. And it laughs a lot about things that people claim, only the Brits would really understand. But I mean, we understand a lot of that about the Brits, and sometimes it's Canadians do it too, or it's put across in media about some of these stereotypes. But it's just neat to hear Julie narrating that show and talking about the different things. So she's not an interviewer, she's just narrating. So there's Bellatrix, and there's Molly. Bellatrix is a standard black wand, so I'm not going to take that one apart. And Molly, where did yours go? There it is. She's got a standard light brown wand, so I'm not going to take that apart. Where is the box of wands? Go. Molly's. Yep. That one in. And Bellatrix. Black is pretty standard. I just figure why take them apart if you don't have to. Okay, so on those two, let's see if the extra one will fit. That black piece. So the black piece, if I put it inverted, okay, it's too slim. So I'd have to use Harry's wand in that case, I think. But I could actually just give them both their normal wands. I tend not to. I tend to just put all the wands away. Just because it's easy to lose the parts, and even though you get a spare with it, losing the parts is just a pain. Alright, so we'll set those two aside and move on to the main bag. Blue, there we go. Blue strip, dabba-dee-dabba-doo. Sorry. I was amused by... Uh-oh, that's no good. I'm going to start the music list over again. And I have to take off shuffle. Because Spotify has now started doing something that I don't know if it's on purpose or if it's a glitch or what the deal is. But I play Epidemic Sound through Spotify. And I often like to use the shuffle feature to shuffle the Spotify, or the playlist from Epidemic Sound. But the whole point of using Epidemic Sound is to avoid copyright strikes. We already have one episode I have to deal with, and there's, not copyright strikes, sorry, content warnings, basically. And I already have one VOD I have to deal with, which I'm not even sure at the moment which one wasn't posted, but there was one where I got a notice that it wasn't going to be posted as a VOD because of copyright music in there. And I just noticed now, doing it as well, basically what Spotify has done as a way of trying to drum up business for their other artists, and it's not just because of Epidemic or anything else, but what they're trying to do now is you've got a shuffle, but you can include a shuffle with smart suggestions of who else plays similar music that you might enjoy. And they just include it in there. Which is great, but the only way they notify it, or the little symbol, is like a little star on the shuffle logo. They call it a smart shuffle. I, twice today already, since we started the stream, have had to change click the little shuffle icon to remove the smart shuffle suggestions. And now that I saw it come back a third time, that's where I draw my line saying, fine, I guess I can't shuffle today. I've already got one where that feature was enabled, I was unaware of it, and I've been tagged for possible content. Now, it could be real, or it could be not real. I mean, one would, want to default, or possibly would default to the, okay, it's likely real because this feature was on. But the reason I say it might not be is because in the last month or so I've had a few that were temporarily tagged because an artist who does music for Epidemic Sound only put some of their stuff on the Epidemic Sound service, and other material that they do was elsewhere for copyright. And so it could be a riff, it could be something else, but whatever it was about their copyright music was used in my stream, and I needed to go and actually walk it through, look for the title under that artist. I don't always have to listen to the clip, but at least minimum look for the title under that artist and be like, no, I did not use that particular sound. That particular song does not appear in my work. And that's just a pain in the neck, but I have to do that with the ones that got caught recently and just have not made the time to do so. So So yeah, but in this particular instance, I mean, most of them I wouldn't care because we were just for a long time doing generic grindy material. We're lighting things up. We're chopping out doors. We are, whatever. But because it's recent, it might have been one of the ones where I was clearing part of the mansion. And while I would love to be able to believe that it actually mattered, I don't think anybody really cares if they didn't see the whole thing. But I mean, on that weird off chance somebody might, I would like to be able to, in good conscience, upload this VOD to YouTube so that people could look at it if they wanted to. And right now I cannot do that until I resolve whatever Twitch's tools snagged on behalf of the copyright user in my video. So yeah, just that whole stay clean if you can thing. And as you guys are well aware, I don't at all subscribe to the notion of, you're fine because live copyright concerns are a rarity and people generally don't tag on that. It's becoming a slowly increasing thing, and I just do not want to get myself in that hole. So that's why you guys generally don't recognize the songs I play, unless it's that one weird one from Tage, who I keep playing over and over again, and every time it comes on it distracts me, because it sounds a bit like Mr. Brightsides, or Mr. Blue Sky, I guess? I keep thinking about it wrong. Anyway. It sounds a little bit like the Monkees to me. I don't know why. That's the other thing too. One of these days I will just say to heck with it. We're going to play a genre today, and I'll use Epidemic's really janky web player that they've got to just play a particular genre, and we'll go with it. But I was looking at 60s music because that's an era I usually like, particularly 60s invasion style, like from the Brits. Unfortunately, when I first kicked it off at Epidemic, the thing initially sounded to me, oops, I missed the great claw. Initially sounded to me like it was nothing but surf guitar. I'm like, that's not what I'm looking for. So I need to poke around a little bit more and see which ones I like. I do like Epidemic. They got a lot of opportunities for great things. And in theory, I could sit there and make playlists of stuff that I really liked. But it's not just what I like. Not about just what I like. It's often what suits and what works for the gameplay and etc. etc. I actually have not recently fixed OBS to... I say fixed because I broke it at one point, and then I kludged it back together to functionality for what I needed, but I haven't fixed it properly to separate the audio from the video recording. I don't intend to do a whole lot of YouTube stuff with it, but there's times where I would actually be kind of curious to see what Epidemic's little auto tool is, and we watch your video and then we recommend songs to attach to it. I'd be kind of curious to know what their little auto tool would recommend for some of the Minecraft content, because it might be fun. Just pull a bunch of that, make a playlist, and attach it to the video and see what happens. Not a big deal though, because I mean, hey, very frequently what's going on screen versus how I react to it are not related to the music whatsoever. Like this particular one is called, was it Vroom, by a group called Doom.us. And it's the kind of thing that might be great for an intense moment with a face-off with a dragon or a warden, or if you have a whole ton of zombies coming at you or something like that. Building Lego, pretty chill. It's not a bad fit. It's just not necessarily the world's best fit. But I mean, in games, sometimes I will get myself wound up about stuff in a stressed out kind of way that other players won't. It's like, oh, it's a spider. Whatever. Oh, it's a mineshaft. Whatever. Whereas for me, We do need to investigate to find out whether or not we have a partial mineshaft near us. I am not excited about doing that, nor am I looking forward to do it anytime soon. But that's because I do not like the possibility of accidentally finding that we have a cave spider or regular spider spawner in said mineshaft. I mean, yes, that would mean cobwebs are all around the spawner. Fantastic. But I'll take a lack of cobwebs, a dearth of cobwebs, if I don't have to worry about spider spawners. So this one is a Hogwarts-esque coat of arms that does not... Interesting, it's got a helmet on it this time. We still have the lion and the snake and the badger, and it's supposed to be an eagle, but weirdly it does not look like it. I have no idea what that last one is. Oh. Eagle with spread wings, which in this particular case looks a bit more like something out of the Lonesome Dove logo. Okay, whatever. So, in any case, that's part of my rant. I don't like spiders. If I discover that it's a cave spawner, or cave spider spawner, we will be out of there faster than last year. Which is too bad. I know exactly who... Oh yes, probably. Actually, it says drop frames. It says drop frames nothing so far, DC, so I don't think I'm supposed to be dropping frames. That said, what my machine thinks and what is actually happening could be two different things, because our provider has been having some flaky behavior lately, like our net provider. So late at night, everything is golden, and during the day, it can be, absolutely a dog's breakfast. So I might be dropping frames, which is another reason why I'm doing Lego and not Minecraft today. But thank you for asking. I appreciate it. But the other thing about this, though, is I don't know why the camera's being weird, because it's, like I'm not used to getting that blur effect. So I don't know. Let's see. To actually get all of these done, I'm jumping steps while I'm talking, so I need to make sure that I'm making all the pieces get in there. The camera, although I think it's capped at 60, I think that's what I'm sending out. By the fact that I have two cameras, unfortunately OBS decides that, pick a camera, any camera, we're going to run random roulette and decide that one of them is going to be blurry and not give you what you want and drop frames compared to the other one. It's odd. It's a known behavior, weirdly enough. So if you're playing a video game and you've got a face cam, that because face cams are frequently fed to OBS at a higher frame rate than you would want to send out overall, it will actually blur the feed from the face cam, whether you like it or not. And there have been various different YouTube content posters, such as, say, Nutty or whatever, that have been trying to show various different ways of faking it out and getting around that. In essence, the long and the short of what that boils down to is figuring out or showing us how to tell OBS that certain regions have to be higher quality than other regions. So in other words, it's basically a way of setting a priority on it. I haven't bothered with any of that mess yet because, honestly, if my mug goes fuzzy, I think you guys might not really be too bothered. But given that I'm having some funky behaviors from the ISP, then maybe I should look into it. It's, unless things are unwatchable, it's not on my priority list at the moment just because I scroll too much. And it doesn't seem to have enough shiny to it to make me stick with it. I did take the meds this morning, but it certainly doesn't feel like it. So this is probably going to be one of those weeks that I'm taking a bit more med than usual and more coffee than usual. Okay, so I think I got it. Also, I'm leaning weirdly, which I shouldn't be. And I've got a strange overhead shadow today. Just tip that one. Nope, that one's tipped. Excuse my arm. Ooh, that's in my face. Wow. Nope, that was not very helpful. Okay, well, I'll just go with it. Shadows are better than... Hey, it's 3D! Whoop! Woo! Whoop! Woo! Okay, enough bad jokes. Yeah, this Battle for Hogwarts is neat to me in that it's modular in such a way that you can sort of arrange it how you like. There's a couple of suggested layouts on the box, but honestly, I love it that LEGO with these modular chunks has more or less said, you do you. And I mean, it works really well when you've got fictional castles to work with, because there is no way you're going to be able to successfully align this one with even the filming location castle based off of, like, the LEGO kits. It's just not a thing. I actually vaguely wonder if LEGO has some odd notion of what is or isn't intellectual property theft or something. It just in terms of the fact that, like, if you compare what comes out of LEGO versus the ideas submitted in the LEGO ideas section, that very, very rarely will you ever see things that look, I guess, virtually the same as what the ideas submitter actually posted. And often it's for the, the frames, the cost of making the parts, etc., etc. Like, there can be reasons for it, but sometimes I just don't know what's going on at LEGO headquarters in terms of why things don't look like people want. But when it comes to fictional places, video games have a way things need to look. Movies don't. I mean, Harry Potter's a fantastic example of that, meaning that it didn't, like, the look of the castle didn't stay consistent throughout the movies. And people are like, oh, magic. Good excuse, done. But, I mean, it's a castle. It's filmed in a real place, for the most part. And in a lot of cases, they were being cheap on effects when they could. So some of the spots that they spent money to build a different set or computer enhance something, I don't necessarily think it was the best expenditure of funds, but like I personally like the Chris Columbus look for the Hogwarts castle, which is done in the first couple of movies, and then the castle itself changed a bit and became far more ominous styling in the later movies. I mean, it may fit with the story, but you don't often see that sort of thing happening in other fantasy worlds or sci-fi worlds or anything else, unless that's a particular element of the story that was mentioned, whereas this one, they thought the original look just wasn't exciting enough. So a notable example in the Harry Potter movies was the clock tower. In the beginning, it's quite literally sort of an average Joe clock tower, as in, it's a clock on a wall, you go through the doors beneath it, great. In the later films, they had a clock tower with a pendulum that looks like, if you don't move out of the way at the right time, the whole thing is gonna, no bad puns intended, clock you. And totally take you out. And I don't really think we necessarily need changes to the castle in such a way that it's trying to now kill people. I didn't think that was necessarily needed, but hey, I'm not the set designer. But I guess the other reason I wasn't a fan of that element was more that I am one of those people that focus in on the characters and kind of ignore the set a little bit. And when you've got something like a massive pendulum coming through as characters you're trying to listen to walk by, I'm suddenly sort of distracted away from the mental focus in on them to see that, oh, well, they are quite a bit smaller than this thing that just swooped through the scene. because it could. And then the characters just keep on talking, so it wasn't like there was an advantage. Excuse me, just 1 second, I dropped that piece on the floor. Oh, and now I've rolled over it. Thankfully, I didn't break it. Yay! I think I might actually have extras of these parts elsewhere, so I mean, it wouldn't have been a horrible crime, but anytime you can, not break your Lego set, it's a good place. I forgot. The bottom one. A little surprised at this one. In that, underneath this, like this piece, can do that. The point is, I've got this whole bridgey type bit. Appears to be stuck on by one stud until you put a chunk on top. I find that unusual. I don't know why they would bother to do that. Because flat plates tend to be no less expensive than the 2 stud ones they're already making. There's probably a reason for it, I guess, but now that it's locked in, it doesn't really do anything, so I don't see what the advantage was. Would have been more stable had they put one of the 2 pieces in there. There's always reasons for everything. Generally, it's just what we had reason doesn't usually come up when you hear about designers and why they made various choices. But I had never till recently actually seen inside of what it looks like in the free software from Lego, the Lego Studio. I'd heard about it. Actually, let me correct that. I had an old version of it. That one of the things you could do with this old version was, or maybe it was a third-party software, but anyways, piece of software where you could upload a set of instructions from a PDF, and then tell the game, okay, or not game, sorry, the software, okay, I want to work with the 3D model that this builds, and it wouldn't necessarily read it and do it, but you would at least be able to get it to scan through and recognize parts list, and I thought that was kind of cool. I'd never actually used that feature for anything before I forgot about the software entirely, but my daughter actually wanted a copy of the Studio software recently because basically she was using it as, in essence, a 3D CAD software. Why? I don't know. I don't even know what she was trying to make, but it's one of those things that, hey, it's free, it's harmless, more power to her, go for it. Alright. Someday, I will potentially look at websites like Rebrickables or some of the people who are taking some of the mock designs out of existing sets and doing other things with them. But the thing is, I'm one of those people who likes to diorama the Lego sets I get and build. So what I mean by that is I may put the characters in funky positions, I may move around the furniture, I might even change a little bit of the interiors, but never, at this point, I've never done structural changes to anything. So in order to do some of the mock style alterations or changes or additions or expansions or whatever, I'd have to take apart my existing sets. And I just can't bring myself to do it. I feel sorry for people at some point who have to help with the dusting when I end up getting too old and gray to do it myself. Not that I dust a whole lot right now anyways, but feel sorry for those people because there will not be disassembled sets. I watched Local Brick Shop do that the other day. Actually, there was one set. I don't think he was taking apart, but he was bagging up for sale. And he, 1, 2, 3, this way. There we go. And so it was one of his streams where he normally would build something on a Wednesday. Oh, wrong piece. This one. But instead he was bagging it for sale, and so while he was chattering away, he was comparing the parts, not to the list in the back, which actually, that's what I would have done, is go to the back of the manual and look at all the parts list. I mean, this one's got a fairly substantial, oop, that's my hair. Fairly substantial parts list, right? So I would probably, go to the back of the thing, pop it open, find the various parts, however many of them there are, put them in the bag, call it a day. But he actually wanted to be able to get as much for it, for his Lego, whatever he was sorting, as he could. So one of the things he did is, I mean, he used, you know, Ziploc bags and stuff, like nothing exciting there. But he went through, so the whole thing had been disassembled into a massive pile, but he went through his massive pile of Lego and went through step by step as though he was building it, and just made sure that all of those parts were in the bags as necessary. I don't know what or if, as far as extras, he would have put in the bags. But I thought that was kind of a neat, sort of a very thoughtful way of doing things. Given the way that Fantastic Sherlock Fox received his Stranger Things set in, like his was in bags, but it was not remotely at all bagged anywhere near related to the instructions. Not even reversed that or anything of the nature. So he actually had to unbag and null or sort the entire set all at once, which the space he was building in didn't really have room for. I mean, we made it work, but that's part of the reason why we have so many little trays printed, is just because there was nowhere to put all this stuff. You had to have trays to be able to find anything and not have little bits falling over the floor. So that said, it wasn't a great experience in that respect, and so I would really appreciate it. You know, like if I was to be buying a used set, I would definitely have appreciation for the people who took the time to go and reverse the set all the way down. I mean, yeah, if you've got a box, I don't keep boxes, so yeah, I'm that person. But if you've got the box, yes, the box might be open. When a person wants to, oops, there we go. The box might be open when a person wants to buy it, but all the bags inside are at least organized according to the instructions, and that would be appreciated as a builder. Mike says, I have super large Ziploc full of about 20 sets. I dump them out every 5 years and sort and build. Well, see, there's the thing. If it's mixed with a whole bunch of sets, then, I mean, you've got your own, you've got your own DC bins, I guess you could say, bulk Lego bins in a bag. And that's actually one of the things I've asked on stream here is, you know, when we don't have Lego kits to build, or if we're just shooting the breeze for a little bit, for whatever reason, my kids have a ton of Lego that's a mess, that sometimes we just chit-chat and dump it and sort it. And I was actually vaguely wondering if I should bring one of those bins down and just sort one day. I don't know if I have enough interesting stories to keep that rolling, because sometimes seeing the builds progressing is far more interesting. But it has occurred to me, you know, we've got, one of the reasons that actually came up was not just that they needed sorting and I needed time to sort, but also that I know for some people, particularly during the summer months, there's different streamers, you know, available, not available, etc. Different people collide with one another, and I've been a little bit obsessively attempting not to collide with some of the other fine folks in the DC community. And then some of them have gone on holiday and whatever. And it's just one of those things that, like, I highly recommend, because we're all part of the same friendly community, that Lego-wise, or not Lego-wise, sorry, Lego's a bad example. Minecraft-wise, you know, multi-park, no big deal. When I say it that way, it sounds like, you know, Fifth Element multi-pass. But, I said, go for it, right? Whereas on Lego days, I know I collide with at least one other. One of the ones that I thought I was going to collide with today is on vacation, but then someone else I didn't expect to stream popped in, and that's totally cool, you know? If you can multi-park, go for it. I'm even aware of a couple of fiddly ways I can force the multi-park thing to work for me on my mobile. This is a weird part. This is, it looks like it's two of these gold things. You've seen these before, you know, stacked. But now it's not, actually, because they're molded together into one piece. I don't know how common that piece is, but in my collection it's the first one that I've got. I may have seen it before elsewhere, but yeah. And it's gold. Like, that's the other one I find weird, is I could see maybe using them in black in something. But anyway, sorry for the derail. But, you know, if there's many people to watch and not everybody has the same opportunities, then let's go, right? You watch who you can, when you can, yada, 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 that whole stream. And so I frequently discount the LEGO streams, but I also assume that a pure out sorting stream would be boring as snot and watching wallpaper dry for anybody other than me. However, I could go watch those for hours on end. So yeah, if there's ever something ended up on, you know, DC2 or something, just a multi-hour of, I don't know, DC doing nothing but sorting Lego or something, I'd be down for that. But that's just who I am. Not everybody would be down for that sort of thing. Anyway, that's not meant to be all that negative that it sounds. Hey, we have hinges. Woohoo! So we're gonna have closable hinges, I think. Here, don't put the flame in the way. Yeah. So it can be small, it can be large. Neato. Okay. That's kind of cool. Interesting how it's modular in that respect. Okay, next bag. Oh, you know what? Something is a little off. I've missed at least one little wedge bit. There's a stud that should have wedge on it. However, I've one wedge, one flat. Okay, I'm okay with that. Thought I had 3 wedges, which is not common. One of these days, one of the things I might try my hand at, and I don't have the parts for, but you know, would love to look into, is at Brick World Chicago. Apparently it's a pretty common thing to build. At Brick World Chicago, you can have, or they had a station full of art. They seem to have preset dimensions for the art, but where it was basically, it's like Lego dots, pictures of people, but these ones were the perspective ones. So rather than being done with the dots, it's done with all of the wedge shapes. Right? Little cheese, some people call them cheese wedges. A lot of people call them cheese wedges, little 1-bys. And it's all done with the wedge shapes. And what's done, how they do that is like they line it. Ooh, Nagini. That's actually one of the best looking snakes I've seen. But we've seen the cheese wedges all get lined up back to back, so they're all wedging in different directions. And then when you look at the art from one way, you can see whatever design was done in those. But then when you walk past it going the other way, you got a totally different art. So it's like a, not 3D, that's not the word. Optical illusion? Even though it's not really an optical illusion, just 2 pieces of art, frankly. And if you look at it square on, it would look like an absolute mess of stripes. Here's Neville. Here's Neville's sweater. Has a good amount of detail on it. I'm going to show it before I put the head on, because that causes problems. Yeah, got a good amount of detail on the front and the back, and I like that there's even some printed detail on the curve of the hood at the top, which is hard to see on camera, but it's actually got little white triangle edges to it that aren't just a show through of the white printing for the rest of the sweater. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I'd love to try one of those perspective pictures. I think that would be a whole lot of fun. It just takes, you know, a long time and a lot of the little wedge pieces and yeah, an idea, I guess. I saw a picture once on the internet that I might actually consider trying something like. I mean, original ideas are better, but here we have the Sword of Gryffindor, which is basically probably just a generic Knight's Castle sword, I think, but don't quote me on that. Where am I here? Okay. But the picture I saw on the internet, what? Clean sweater, Neville, very dirty face. What's with you? Anyway, the picture I saw on the net was a Minecraft one where one side of the wedges made a really nice picture, pixelated picture of Steve, the classic Steve, and then as you walk past, the other side, the pixelated picture was Alex. So I thought that was kind of a neat twist. It just went from one side being Steve to the other side being Alex. I've seen another one where it was a creeper on one side, and a zombie on the other. And while that might be neat because there's similar sort of shapes to work with, I would be really, really sick of green wedges by that point. So here's just Neville's face. He's got a double-sided face, but his other one is kind of his dopey bucktooth thing, which by this point in the movie he's kind of grown out of. Alright. This bag on the road. The light? No, that's the one. So, yeah. I actually get a, like, tactile, I shouldn't say thrill, but relaxation out of sorting Lego. But it's funny because, as we've mentioned in the past, I like having Lego. Like, it's one of those things we'll have for a long time. I have off and on bugged my husband about the fact that his major bin of Lego from growing up is, oddly enough, still at his mother's place, in spite of the fact that she's moved twice since I've met him. And she keeps taking it with her. And yet, my kids very rarely, maybe once or twice, drag it out and actually do something with it. Most of the time, they're busy playing with other things she's got. Because, you know, Grandma's house always has weird stuff different than home. And some of it just doesn't make sense, age-wise, but they can get away with that at Grandma's house. So I've on occasion said, you know, Fox, you should bring your Lego here. Then you've got more parts to do what you want with it. And he's like, when do I have time to do anything with that? And sometimes he's right, and sometimes he's not, because of like, oh, hey, I'm gonna, I don't know, I was gonna say buy the bug set or something, which we didn't do, but, you know, build the Galileo gift with purchase thing because it's a specific set. Like, well, you know. And then we end up with the bin sitting there. I don't know if it would solve much of anything, but the bin sits there, and then our kids get into, say, the Lego space re-release, or like reinvigoration, I guess, of that theme. And we hear all kinds of things about moon landing base plates and stuff that I've never seen, at least not in person. And it makes me kind of go, well, you know, it could sit in a box, or it could be at our place. And then the conversation drifts to something else fairly quickly. So, yeah. But I mean, I do love sorting Lego. It's... If I didn't have other hobbies, I actually might spend a lot more time sorting Lego, because I can guarantee, if you've got kids who are into Lego, tweens, teens, otherwise, unless they are for some reason OCD sorters themselves, which is not the case in our house, you can just about guarantee that at the rate I've got time to sort it, or make time to sort their Lego, mine is exponentially smaller than their ability to desort it. So yeah, I do wonder though, if or how much there would be any change in expenditure in our house if our kids could actually find the parts to the sets that they want to make from scratch. The other thing I find interesting, and I don't know why, okay, actually I do know why in a corporate sense. I've thought on many occasions, there's a lot of like little random pieces, you know, that have clips, arches, whatever, that come in the various sets, and people who are doing mocks or things, they order their own pieces, and or they order bulk bins of other people's Lego that when they're done with it, and sort the heck out of things to get these parts. And I, to some extent, feel it's a bit of a missed opportunity on Lego's part, because I have one, I need two. I'm sorry, it's a missed opportunity on Lego's part, because if you look at the sort of the bulk bins, for the most part, now there are exceptions, but for the most part, the bulk bins are still very classic, meaning that if you buy one that's in the yellow box, you can basically build stuff with a lot of square corners and houses and that sort of stuff. Oh, okay. Hey, Benson. Welcome in, Raiders. Welcome, welcome. Always glad to see you. If anybody wants to get on that drop raid, go right ahead. Just exclamation point drop. Please do tell me what it was you were doing today. I know you were doing some Minecraft, but I'm not entirely sure what it was you were doing in Minecraft. Oh, button, please. Button, do something. Maybe. Blink. Nope. Let's just the old-fashioned way. Let's see. Excuse the arms. Or not. Interesting. Well, given that one wasn't working. Oh. Can't spell. This isn't happening. Okay. Started your starter build and went caving and met up with some people for trades. Ooh. Nice. That's a great plan. Yeah, meeting up with people for trades is a great plan because it makes it a lot easier to get things done early game when you've got the parts. Well, that helped. I really can't spell today. That's why things didn't work. Paste. Maybe? Nope, that did it again. I don't know. My system is a little bit borky today. Do it here. I'm not a streamer. Of course I'm not a streamer, you fool. There, finally. How many attempts did that take? Let's see. 2, 3, 4. Wow. Yeah. 2, 3, 4, 5. About half a dozen. Oh man, that's embarrassing. Well, thank you very much for coming by. I really do appreciate it. So what sort of biome did you end up choosing for your starter build? I'm curious. And not this one. Curious. Very curious. What sort of biome did you start with? And do you have a theme for this year that you're working on? I am here. We are, yes. We're building the Battle of Hogwarts Lego set. What's the set number on this one? 76415. It was a 2023 set, I believe. And just putzing through the various boxes and bags. We are on bag 4 of 5, so there is a chance we'll get it done today. You're in a cave for a base. Okay. So, you are Lady Batman this season? Actually, there's so many things one can do from the inside. However, which quadrant did you end up with? Like, northwest, southeast, somewhere in the middle? I am deadly curious. I have no idea where most people are. I just know my near neighbors and loosely where Fantastic Sherlock Fox is, because he's not near me. And at some point, I'm sure we'll have some sort of conversational region. I'll need to go to his place. Just because I'll be saying, hey, I need a X. And he's like, oh, I've got one of those in my storage. Go get it. Oh, well, that's different. I mean, on the Java server this year, you know, we've got a trim of 5,000, I think. And Bedrock, I can't remember what it is. It's 20, you want to say 2,500, but that doesn't make sense. They're not that bad. 3,000? I don't know. But just hearing everybody being close in is actually really interesting because it's just an impression for me, but I've noticed recently in Minecraft that it feels to me sometimes when bases are closer together, it gives me an artificial feeling of the biome itself being bigger. That sounds odd, but it's more that because I'm used to people having based further apart in the past. Then when we're closer together, it feels, excuse me, like the biome itself, which is bigger which makes no sense because, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense. But, yeah. Well, of course Lyric would be your neighbor. I think you might have trouble not having Lyric be your neighbor. But both of those are really great neighbors to have. Excuse me, just 1 second. Okay, coffee break. I haven't even opened my coffee this morning. That might be partly why I'm squirrely. Okay, I have to be a little more aware of where the camera is next time. That was not great. In any case, so your cave building, and what sort of biome of cave did you go for? What I'm saying is, like, do you know what's in the overworld above you? Sounds like you do. Do you know if you got yourself a spawn chunk, or not spawn chunk, a slime chunk? That's funny. Yeah, Fantastic Sherlock Fox and I didn't go in the same direction. Actually, I didn't even know which direction I was going to go. And I just talked about what biome I might want because of the Woodland Mansion business. Knowing I'd have to just do an awful lot of deforestation. At the time, not realizing how much of a pain in the butt deforestation is going to be. Especially if it's a dark oak forest, because it can be really dense. You didn't see that. I just fired some of my Lego across the room. And almost got it jammed in the keyboard. That would not have been my most stellar moment. But birch isn't too bad, because they don't tend to grow crazy close together. Birch mainly, but some oak. Well, that's actually not bad. Because, yeah, there's an awful lot of contrast in birch versus, like, say, cave tones. On the bright side, though, sorry, that was accidental bad pun. Because of the contrast, it can make it feel like the cave is lit up more than it really is. From an actual lighting up standpoint, that's a pain in the neck. But from an apparent visual standpoint, could be not a bad thing. And was your cave fairly empty when you found it? Or did it seem to have other features? What I mean by that is, there's some that are just purely stone in the various different types. There's some that tend to be dripstone caves, or some that tend to be, this, that, and the other. Or did you end up with, like, a lush cave? Like, what sort of features did you end up finding inside your cave? I am curious. And if I remember correctly, I think you were still doing Bedrock this season, or have you followed the Lyric train and got lost on the Java server instead? Or as well, depending on your point of view. Sorry, I'm sticker placing, that's why I'm distracted. There we go. Hey. Okay, that must be just about a personal record. I have one massive bubble in the middle, which you can start to see with the reflection. But that's not horribly bad. 3 to 4 layers, dripstone 2, all the way down to minus 50. Wowee. Huh. I like the texture of dripstone. I wish we could do more with it. Like with the dripstone blocks. I would really appreciate that if we could do more with it. To me, it just feels like it's one of those blocks that's just block. I admire anybody who's willing to do more than one. So, I admire anybody who's willing to do one, actually. And who has quite a lot of creativity, as most of the players on these servers do. We'll have to see where mine comes in this year. It'll also be interesting to see what I end up doing. Sorry, I'm just popping bubbles. Yeah, that's better. It's oily now, but that's better. But it had occurred to me that some of the thoughts I'd had earlier on for how I wanted to do the models into the world are based on having access to Lightmatica or Schematica or something similar. I've never quite got my brain around the one in Bedrock. I just don't know. It couldn't quite put two and two together. The instructions were fairly simple to convert it to that, but I just never quite understood it. So that's my bad. But as far as Java goes, maybe it's not such a bad thing that I'm dragging my feet, because the official... Oop, I'm going to break that leaf over and over. The official maintainer, the author of the Lightmatica mod, had announced that, yeah, they're done. They're not doing any more of this. I can't blame them. You know, it's a big ask. And so there are unofficial ports in the community, but as far as I'm aware, my mole in the community, CJ RV Williams, has not let me know yet about a reliable update. And frankly, up to this point, the stuff that I was doing didn't need a schematic. I can kind of wing it. Well, unless it's a chicken inside a Minecraft mansion. Yeah. Because then I can apparently get that wrong. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. But for the most part, that's it. So it might be a bit of a slower build this season as we muddle our way through building things as we go, because I can't just cop out. Oops, that's going to show. I can't just cop out and find a model I like, turn it into a schematic, drop it into Java, and build it. Aside from not having the parts. So, yeah. We'll be doing parts for a while, and the order of operations on the parts is just going to stay screwed up. Maybe now that Tough and others have other blocks, we might get Dripstone other blocks. I'd say don't hold your breath. I mean, it's kind of funny, but I never really quite understood. There are some blocks that I could see one might make an argument saying it's not logical to allow them to be other shapes. I can't think of any of those off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's probably some somewhere. But I kind of had thought of, you know, like a lore concept-wise excuse that if it's a block that's a thing that's, you know, like a stiff product, some kind of stone, right? Yeah, some kind of stone that we should be able to make basically just about every possible permutation from it by default. I mean, I understand there might not be textures to look good for certain things. For example, if we had... I'm trying to think of what a good one would be. Okay. So, let's say I wanted to turn dripstone into... we may not end up with cracked dripstone tile or something. I mean, that's an extreme thought. But if we ended up with, you know, a dripstone brick. Okay, I get that we don't have... go on, use your brain. I get that we don't have bricks for dripstone yet. But, you know, some of these things, or even... there's ways to, I guess you would say, simplify / cop out a bit on some of the textures for some of these things. For example, if you were to do... it doesn't have to be dripstone, but that's just the one that came to mind. Let's say we wanted a polished... that makes no real sense, but a polished dripstone block. Or a cut dripstone block so that it's got that weird little border type of edge in it that you see in some of the blocks. You know, some of those, if you just want to polish it up, they can do... like, make it a fuzzy, blurred type of effect versus the default. It doesn't sound like it's difficult. Welcome in, Raiders. Welcome, welcome. How are you? First time in. I appreciate everybody who came by. Today we are building on the Battle of Hogwarts Lego set, just constructing it. I am part of the Streamcraft 73 stream team, which normally focuses around Lego. A lot of us play on the survival multiplayer servers for patrons of Dadcraft 73. And let's see if I can find my buttons. There we go. Buttons. Lots of buttons. Exit. I have lots of buttons. I can't seem to figure out what to do with today. There we go. Who's me? So Friday is my Lego break. And sometimes those may occasionally, if I'm busy with other things like camps or something for scouts, because I am a scout leader in Canada, then the Friday Legos may sneak their way into becoming Lazy Lego Monday or some other equally odd alliterative excuse. I'm very, very glad you're here. Welcome in, Cronin. So, welcome in, and thank you very much, Honest Lee, for raiding the channel. Please do tell me what you were up to. Now let's see if I can figure out this raid business. Exclamation point, shout out. I can't spell. If that works. Yay! Okay, great. Ooh. Last stream makers and crafting, do tell me what you were doing. I see a guitar in the picture. Musician, perhaps? Awesome. Definitely awesome. Yeah, so this is my chill out break. Wooden cabinets. Ooh. Nice. Works with wood. Yeah, I'm a Lego break when I'm doing that. That is one really sweet wood project. Oddly, I've got a family friend who used to build guitars, and I recognize that it is not easy. And we know someone actually else in the Minecraft side of the community that does various different types of projects, and they built themselves an amp this year, so I thought that was kind of cool. One of the more classic styles. So I'm impressed by people who have that ability to work with their hands. So yeah, we will find... I made my own guitar a few months ago. Really rewarding project. Now, question. When you guys make your own guitars, personal taste, what style of guitar do you like to make? Contextual, where that comes from, is I am a very, very rusty, well, let's be blunt, somewhat talentless, casual acoustic guitar player for fun. But I don't really like the full body depth. I prefer a half when I can, so 90% of the time I steal my husband's guitar. He's a very casual, rusty player as well. Just for, fits and giggles kind of thing. But a lot of people, when I hear about them making guitars, they tend to prefer electrics. I mean, mine's a full body amplified acoustic, so in other words, it actually has a pickup inside. Not one of those ones that just fills the hole, but it actually is built into the bridge. And so, I mean, there's that. But then I asked the question partly because I made an interesting accidental discovery not that long ago. Just discovery for myself, I guess, where Stratocaster, back that up. Stratocaster type electric guitar, but you don't play at all. I made it just to learn some skills in woodworking. They can still look good on the wall, even if you don't play them. I would like to say yes. It'll probably get modded, but since I know it's coming, I'll look for it and try and allow it. So feel free to give it a shot. Mod. It did not like it. Okay. So yeah, and it didn't send it to me as automod, it just dropped it. Well, if you want to, either you can try and whisper me and I'll post it for you, or you can pop onto the Discord and drop it in there. That's no big deal. Yeah, it was worth a shot. Some might need a permit. The little green permit, right? It's actually not sitting in my auto mod queue, so it denied it outright, which means it's probably one of my other bizarre settings. There it is. Okay. This one. Ooh, yeah. I see it. I love this one, actually. It's funny. You guys have probably noticed on the Twitch clips. Here's the link that they posted. That Twitch gives you some like random verbiage to go with it. The words are just kind of ridiculous. They go with it, but this one amused me a little bit. It was the trapped flirty Clint you don't say. Okay. I'm not sure whoever came up with some of the stuff they feed in there to get those words with, but that one was just a smile. So this is one with, you said, yeah, the Twitch logo cutting board. It looks really cool. I can definitely see that. I will just spend some more time looking at the clip itself after, but yeah, for those of you that can see a thumbnail, the Twitch logo looks really good in the cutting board. Definitely. What was I gonna say? I don't think I've done anything Twitch themed. That's, maybe I'll put that on my bucket list of things to do somewhere, something Twitch themed. Never really thought about it. But yeah, I've known people that make guitars, and yeah, they they sometimes play themselves, or they sell them, or they hang them on their wall, or whatever. I've helped rebody a guitar, so like, not rebody, re-neck it, I guess. Basically, it was a low-end one that we got at I don't know where the heck my dad got it. Basically, long story short, I got a very not well-known, probably not high-quality brand guitar that I got gifted from my father when he discovered I liked playing guitar. So he gave me his guitar. He said, "Oh, I'm done. I'm gonna stop playing, and you can have my guitar or whatever." And that didn't last long. Hey, Gary. Welcome back. Thank you very much for the resub. I do appreciate that. Thank you very, very much for the resub. So I got gifted the guitar, and then we're taking some lessons and whatever, and then I got to the point where my father and I could just mess around and jam. So he decided he wanted a guitar, but he didn't want to actually pay much for it because, of course, he said, "Oh, I'm not going to play it all that much." He's a bit of a fool in that direction, but anyways. So we bought a fairly inexpensive one. Now we're talking Canadian dollars here, so I think he maybe spent like maybe 100, maybe 120, I guess, tax in by the time things were done. And so, as you can imagine, it was not very long in our prairie temperatures and humidity that, in spite of having in his case at least, a very regularly maintained humidifying block, the neck, which wasn't very good, bent and cracked. Because of course it warped, and then when you try to tune it up or tune the strings up to match, then of course it made the warp worse, and the whole thing eventually cracked. So I did get to help with the creation of, staining of, and re-necking the guitar, which I think he probably enjoyed going to talk to the person who was doing it far more than the experience of like having it done. Because my dad's one of those people who just like shoots the breeze with anybody and then never remembers any of it 10 minutes later. You do. Most acoustics are like that. I've seen one or two where somebody was making a custom for kicks, not for any sale or style, and they chose to buck the trend a little bit. That they actually did a carved out acoustic, which was one stinking massive piece of wood. And frankly, I would not recommend doing that because it took them forever. If they weren't going to, they did end up putting an electric pickup in it just to be able to pick up the acoustic sound. So in essence, mic it, I guess is really the reality there. And if they hadn't done that, I don't think the project would have been worth pursuing. Yeah, it was totally hollow body. So trying to think of what I've got around here. Okay, trying to think of about anything here that would be roughly the same depth. When you look at, if you grab your coffee mug, basically, like a standard, 8-ounce, well, I shouldn't say standard, but like an 8-ounce coffee mug, I'd say maybe the block was probably about 2 inches thicker than that when they started, and they didn't actually go a full thinness like you would with a proper acoustic guitar, where you have the strips of wood and you make the jigs and you soften it and bend it and all that jazz, right? Like, that's the right way to do it. This one, he just wanted to see if he could. It was more of a project, just for fun. And so he went till they were probably about, I'm looking at Lego. No, I think it was probably at least, so we're probably looking at you may want this in reality, but his came out like that sort of thickness. Possibly a little bit more. It might have actually even been more of this kind of thing. I don't think it was that bad. I think it might have been more like this. But he hollowed that out manually. And truth be told, if it didn't have an electric pickup in it, it would have had an absolutely awful sound, just because of the fact that he actually had to do an awful lot of post-processing to make the sound any good. So, yeah. And it was definitely a different type of pickup than I would have used. Another one of those, homebrew projects. But he hung it on his wall in the end and didn't play it. And I was like, thank God. It looks cool, but thank God. Because, yeah, it's ugly. Ugly. I knew someone that tried to build a replica of, what's the word? Without getting super nerdy because I don't know a ton about it. I think it was one of these stereotype Les Paul? No. Maybe. One of the original railroad tie guitars. So one of the railroad tie electrics. And that was an interesting looking machine. I'd never seen one in person. I hope I never do again. I'm glad somebody figured out you could electrify that sucker. Because, yeah, basically it was an electric pickup on a railroad tie, which looked ridiculous. But yeah, I stopped playing, or stopped intentionally improving guitar at the rusty point, not because of any other reason. That the thing I love about guitar is actually jamming and just goofing around. You only have 3 guitars, Gary? I'm assuming they're all electric style. Most people go with some format of a Fender, because I mean they're usually pretty similar. Or shoot, what's the other one? Sometimes you get the odd Gibson here and there. But I don't know. I just wasn't into collecting guitars and stuff, but I wasn't any good either. So I got to the point where I could jam and I could do the nonsense that, you know, youth club stuff wants for campfire songs. And I actually got quite a kick out of being able to amuse myself with like oldies music, as in 50s and 60s stuff, because if you listen back to that kind of stuff, you really don't need to have a whole lot of individual string ability. I'm not saying that they weren't talented. There's a lot that could do more than that, but a lot of the commercially popular songs were not like that. So being able to do, let's say, you know, stuff like Mrs. Robinson, just for your own personal pleasure, not as a major performance piece, there's a lot of leeway in there to be absolutely terrible and still get enough to get a kick out of it. An Ibanez, ooh, an electric you built, and cheap electric acoustic off of Amazon. Okay, so for the latter two, the one you built and the one off Amazon, what sort of style would you say they are? Yeah, exactly. Did you build from scratch or from a kit? The nice part about all electrics, I don't mean like as in the group electrics, but as in ones that are fully electric, as opposed to an amplified acoustic, is that the all electric ones can be just about any shape you want, because the shape that they're built on kind of... Now, I mean, you'll have to, you know, sue me because I'm not a purist, but the shape they're built on kind of isn't critical, you could say. I mean, I wouldn't recommend making it, you know, a butterfly, or, well, that's a bad example. I think of one that would be ridiculous. I've seen some that could be almost deemed boomerangs. I've seen some that could be deemed circles. I've seen some that could be deemed, you know, masks or other logos. I saw one that was done handmade, but I mean, or custom made, sorry, not handmade. Custom made, that was based off the idea of a Nike swoosh, which to me seemed bizarre, but, you know, to each their own. And, but electrics, they all work. You muck around with an acoustic and you're going to ruin it very, very quickly. The other reason, actually, my old acoustic, my father's one, we amped it after the fact, was because, you know, doing this mucking around and jamming and stuff, my fingers got shredded up, as you would expect. Even when I used to have calluses, I don't now, but when I used to have calluses, they still got shredded up quite badly, and I couldn't play as much as I wanted to at the time. I was totally loving it. So we took it to a shop who was going to take out the bridge and put in a pickup that... I got this one wrong. They put in a pickup that basically picked up the vibrations in the bridge, which made it a lot easier for me to have it picked up if I had switched over to nylon strings, just so that I could actually play more. I've tried a little bit to get it to, from that pickup, to plug into. We have an adapter at our house for, unfortunately it's an old one, but we had an adapter for it to be able to go into USB on the computer. Yeah, that did not go well. We'll say that. And tuning it out of the voice mic was worse. So I had one example of that. I saved the VOD for my own purposes, but I've never... Actually, not VOD, the video I made. For my own purposes. But it's actually been titled Don't Do This. So, yeah. And then it wasn't too long after that there seemed to be a minor explosion in our Minecraft community of people just humming along and singing along to their various tunes they were playing on their stream. Far more so than I ever dare to. And I just got caught up in that whole, yeah, you suck thing, and just didn't do it. Whether it's true or not is irrelevant. Everybody's good in the shower. But, no, I just don't do that anymore. There used to actually be a sing a snippet redeem on here, and if it's still live, I will deny it the moment it's redeemed. But it was one where I actually had the silly thought, and actually did a few where the idea was it was just a random, whatever oldies song happened to be going through my head at that particular point in time. It was a temporary license to hum a bit of it, or I don't know, something not pleasant as a descriptor, a piece of it. And yeah, I think if those that have actually redeemed it didn't regret it, I'm kind of glad they haven't done it since. So yeah, I want to get back into guitar just for fun, but I enjoy knowing enough that I can appreciate what others do. Does that make sense? And here's a question. So, for those of you that build or end or purchase multiples of the same thing, I mean, this is the same could be said of Lego, technically. But for those of you that build or purchase guitars or any other thing you've got multiples of, what is it that draws you? Oops, I got that the wrong way. That draws you to have more than one? I'm just curious. I mean, I can see that some of them would have a different sound, or a different purpose, or a completely different look, or the joy of having built it yourself, or something. Like, there's almost always something different about it. But what is it for you that got you to do more than one? I like Metallica. It's just another one you wouldn't want to hear me sing any of. Different tuning. Ah, okay, that's one I hadn't heard before. I had somebody else not too long ago talking to me on a different Discord about ukulele tunings with the same sort of reasoning behind it, that they wanted different ones for different tunings. Just a weird random that reminded me of. I mean, my brain squirrels everywhere anyways. It reminds me that... Remember, there's a song called Thunder. I think. Not Thunderstruck. Anyway, but it's a relatively modern song, and it just reminded me the other day of my daughter telling us at the dinner table. She was unimpressed by their interestingly sketchy music teacher, lady, having the class working on this modern Thunder song, completely, like all of them on ukulele. which is an instrument that particular song really would not work well on in my mind. But that's what they were doing to keep it relevant. I don't know. It just confused me. Okay, what do we got here? That one? No, this bit. We're not that far from the end. 10 minutes before the hour. Okay, well, we will probably stop at the top of the hour because I promised my kids, they only have a half day on Fridays, and I promised my kids I wouldn't run beyond what my time is 1 p.m. They get home probably about 12 to 12:30. So, yeah, there's things we need to do. And I mean, it's nice to get the whole thing done, but I can probably fit it in with something else later or next week, maybe. So next week will be my last Lego for a couple weeks because, as I said, July 3rd I pull out and start heading west for our Scout Jamboree. So I'll be taking a couple weeks off of streaming, and we'll see what the landscape looks like when we get back. You know, who's gone and successfully made something useful of the space or the vacuum in between. And I have boo-booed this one by forgetting an entire step somehow. I'm gonna go with this. Oh, no. What did I do there? I talked to you guys, it's my fault, but I mean, still, I missed. How did I? Okay. This piece was on the bottom of the tower, right? Got that. So how far back did I bungle this one? 14. I went the wrong way. This way. Back up. Back up. 1, 2. Okay. I did bungle that. Went the wrong way. Weird. Whatever. See, I got talking, and yeah. I'm not even sure when I messed that up. Wow. Long ways back. Okay. This is part of why I've taught myself to panic a little bit when there is leftover pieces. Because I mean, not these ones, they're teeny tiny extras. I can recognize that, but when there's leftover other pieces. Okay, so this section, tip the whole thing over, watch the camera go crazy. There we go. And we've got one tower, so let's rotate around. One and two. Alright, so this is where we are so far. It appears to have a bit of a hinge on this far side. So I'm assuming that the last bag has the remainder of this hinge zone. It appears to be a bit of a cool build, yeah. So I'm going to do that. We'll show the top next because that just works well for the angles. Spin her around. I'll show the back of this one. I'll lay it back down, which I think might work better. And yeah, that's what we've got so far this time. It picks up. I'm impressed. Last time we tried to pick something up, it fell apart. And don't worry, if I do drop it in between now and then, there will be reports. For sure. But I think we're going to... Aha! Told you. Pop, snap, crackle, Rice Krispies. You didn't hear that. I popped one of the flames off. It's the perfect space for storytelling. Exactly. That's what I usually do with these guys, is I'll set up some sort of like diorama-esque thing when I go to put it on the shelf, and then it just lives there. That's it. Right? But it closes up in the meantime for convenient storage, I guess. So one more time as we wind down, pull that out of the road. There. You can... That's for the big book we got. We are... Where are we here? So 112, you can see in the picture on the top left that the stripe has passed from one page to the next. I'm just going to back up one piece to see. Yep. So we're about halfway through the second side, which means overall about 3/4 of the way through the build. Although I'd say probably a little further. Excuse me. Because there's only one bag left. And here's the I guess I should do the spells. Why not? Okay, so let's do. We've got Voldemort, and he's got green because that's all he does is avacadabra people to death. All right, and we've got 2 sets of spell style. So let's go with crisscrossy one. Looks kind of cool. Not have to worry about the lighting next time. I don't know what's going on there. About the same each way, I guess. I'll shove that back into this spell, which in turn pokes into his wand, which may or may not fit in his hand. It depends on the day, I suppose. It looks like they hold the end of the wand, but it feels like that would be awkward. Let me just see if I can do it without... Oh, I got it. Okay, so we've got Voldemort's shooting his spell. And we'll get Gary. In the picture, of course, things are nice and level, and they can shoot level, but if you put him down on the table, he promptly falls over. So, gonna need some help. Okay, Harry will get his wand. Curve. His wand is black, and he's got red spells. Now, I find this interesting. On the spell packaging they give, and I'm not exactly a fan of this, actually. I'll show you in the red and the green. I'm looking at this one. Let's go with... Why not? I'm going to go with the wibbly. There's... So we've got the spiky, sort of like crisscross one. And then we've got one that just seems to be more of a back and forth type of wiggle. I'm going to use that one this time because I used the other one on the other side. But where I'm going with this is the only spell, or the only pieces like of the opposite end that are the wide splatters that actually fit onto the end of this extension piece. Just go the round one on this one too. Why not? Then they're very different. But the reason I don't like that is because the other ones, I don't know if it'll show better in red or green. Let's grab one of each. The other ones only have a male-shaped end. They don't have the socket style. So they have the tab, but not the socket. And that's disappointing because, I mean, they'll fit into the base of the wand. Here's Voldy's. So it'll fit into the base of the wand for a little tiny burst kind of thing. But they don't... You can't actually go with the sort of super long... Yeah, so you can't go with the super long with the burst, little tiny burst on the end. And I don't... That's too bad. I mean, I kind of get that they want to give you a variety of spell distances, but yeah. Okay, so what am I going to do here? I'm going to give Bellatrix the spare black wand. I give Molly the spare white one, just because convenience. Let's see. Let's go with this one, because she wants to get rid of Molly. It's actually funny. One of the things, I was watching an interview not that long ago, like just a YouTube clip of an interview with Helena Bonham Carter, who played Bellatrix Lestrange, and she said, they asked her, did anybody get to steal and or keep anything from the set? She goes, well, I don't know if I was supposed to keep it or not, but she kept her wand, and actually, let's get the short one. She kept her wand, and she kept her teeth, like the prosthetic teeth they had. And yeah, that really was amusing because she says sometimes she'll put them in at Halloween when she answers the door and scare the neighborhood kids. That would be a bit of a fun, odd memento, yeah. I mean, I don't know about that. I'd rather have a costume. You know, that'd be my thing, but the one is cool. Daniel Radcliffe was asked the same question, if he'd kept any of his stuff. And he said, sort of. I can't remember what it was he did end up taking, but he didn't get a wand because he said he kept getting yelled at because they'd broken so many of the wands over the course of filming things. He said he's been through about 30 or 40 of them, so he kind of didn't feel right about keeping one of those. Yeah, I think Helena Bonham Carter is amazing. When you think about it, she does Bellatrix really, really well, but she also does a really good job of, what's her name? I can't remember exactly what the lady's name is, but the character from Sweeney Todd, or the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. Okay, so in this case, we definitely know who won that part of the battle. Well, okay, and if you don't, spoilers, who cares? Bellatrix doesn't make it out, period. And let's see, she's nice. Oh, she's smiley, that's not gonna work. Mrs. Weasley is nice in both cases, which is, I might have to do something about that head. But yeah, so she and Bellatrix went at it. Whoa! Camera! Oh, whatever. That didn't work. Alright. I don't know how I triggered that. She and Bellatrix went at it, and yes, we're fuzzy. And Sims, Harry, and Voldemort. And Mrs. Weasley definitely won the day over Ms. Lestrange. Because she managed to keel over and take out Ms. Lestrange. In the books, it's implied... Oh, come on, camera. In the books, it's implied that she just killed her. End of story. But in the movies, they don't like dealing with this whole corpse concept, so there was far more to it in the films. Yeah. There's Harry on this side and Voldemort over there, or I can switch them, whatever. Well, that's it. I mean, the last piece I know we need to do that. Imelda Staunton, who played Dolores Umbridge, was amazing. You know, she played characters we love to hate. And she played off so well against... Oh, thank you, Jay. I appreciate that. Hey, you caught me as I'm just about to head out, but I can't resist talking about Potter. You know that. But Imelda Staunton, who did Umbridge, did such a good job with Maggie Smith as McGonagall that people who did Downton Abbey thought it'd be great to have those two together again. So they are sort of opposing characters for a lot of the first Downton Abbey movie, which I did see and enjoy quite heavily. And the two of them get along, and there's plenty of behind-the-scenes shots of them. You're just sitting there having a tea and a good chat while somebody else is doing their scene, or we're waiting for the next role or whatever. And those two are great friends. They had fun playing off against each other, but it's such a chemistry that worked really well that the Downton Abbey side took it as well. And towards the end of that film, the characters there do make up, whereas they totally don't in the Potter films. Well, see, that's the thing. Is that we were looking at like Bellatrix, and you're right. That actress is actually creepy. I find, not because she is anything. I mean, she's special, definitely, but she loves to make her character something that, while it may not be overtly creepy as such, it's just the combination of weird feels enough that you, feels enough that you don't want to deal with it. So if you're ever into watching Sweeney Todd, the movie, with it's got Helena Bonham Carter alongside Johnny Depp. And frankly, I think he did a far better job in that movie than he ever did as Grindelwald in the in the Fantastic Beasts films. So anyways, that's my random digression. Let's find someone to raid into. We'll see if we've got... I have multiple different directions to look today in terms of whether or not we're going with Lego, or if we're going with DC community, or if we're going with whatever happens to be out there. Or, yeah, it's Friday. We can do what we like, right? We can say, we have a permit. Refresh. Anything but that. Okay, that, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I don't think we need a shrink at the moment. That's not great. Ooh. Okay. I would like to, I know I normally try to stick with what we've been doing, but most of the community I work with is normally Minecraft. So I think I'm going to head back to that. However, it looks like one of the people I wanted to raid might be having technical difficulties. I was looking for a Bobbering, but unfortunately, don't see him, which is a bit of a shame. Okay, well, I'm usually overtime, and for those of you that don't get the go live notice, it's usually something along the lines of, I'm not late, you're early. But, okay, I think, let's go with, decision. Okay, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let's go with Mama Melissa. She's doing, oh, no, she just went 2 hours. Okay. Back that up. Back that train up. We're going to go with Gutty. So Gutty Live, thanks Tiz and everyone else. We're going to go with Gutty Live. He seems to be playing Outcast Season 2, which is Minecraft. And that one appears to be 1.20.4. Not particularly sure why, but it is. And he's only been up for about an hour. Can be a little bit wilder stream over there, but he definitely loves the support. So he seems to be doing some sort of sorter-ish thing. I'm not quite sure. We'll just have to see. In any case, thank you everybody who came by. Thank you everybody who was hanging out today. I really do appreciate it. We got ourselves mostly finished. And so we'll definitely get this one done before I go on trip. In the meantime, I really hope everybody has themselves a fantastic weekend. I will be back on Monday for more Minecraft. It will be, oh boy, what is Monday? I was going to say noon Eastern, but I want to make sure because I had changed it at one point, and I want to make sure it isn't the one I shifted. Nope. So Monday will be noon Eastern, and we'll just be doing some more Minecraft stuff. I don't know if it'll be a lot of grindy, or if it'll actually be caving. It'll be one of those two things, or we actually may not be, could even be building portals. It'll be something on the Dadcraft Java server. That's all I can promise. So thank you everybody that came in. I appreciate all the new faces, new names, new conversation. As I said, I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. And in the meantime, let's get this raid started, because otherwise I will chitter chatter on all day long. And it's Friday. When it's Friday, at some point, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, and the workday is over. Mischief was indeed managed. Yes. And a lot of chatter too. You're very welcome, Jay, as always.
Greetings.
Greetings. Okay. So we had resubs from Gary and Jay, which I really appreciate. We had raids from Olivia Benson and Honest Lee. I will definitely look into that clip and more of Honest Lee's work. Also, we had moderation from our team today, including Mama Bear, Tis for Truth, Fantastic Show at Fox, and a touch of Olivia Benson. They conversed as well, but we also heard great things from Gary, Jay, Mike Burton, Dadcraft, Honest Lee, Jewfish Hunter, and Cronin. I apologize for butchering the names. Hopefully we figure it out the next time we get to meet, and have a great day. Bye-bye for now.
Transfer complete.